You can try it.
Okay, hello everyone. We are not going to have video tonight for anyone watching on the YouTube live stream. We are having some image quality issues, but hopefully everyone can hear us, and we are still getting a recording of this meeting, so everything should be good on that end. If you'd like to choose a chair since our usual chair is not here and then kick things off, I think that would be a good way to start.
Make a motion that we choose our vice chair, Ed.
Vice chair. You don't haven't been on.
But tonight you're.
Okay, you've been filling in admin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second. We need to vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Chair, can you please start the meeting?
Elaine DeRissa, Laura Devlin,
Here.
Bob Dorenzo, Ken Gross, Michelle Hoffman, Ed DeVoe,
Here.
Ed LeBlanc. You have a quorum. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chair and other board members, if you'll please make sure that your mics are on and that you're speaking into them tonight. Thank you.
There we go. Do we have any additions, deletions, reordering?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. We would like to move item C up before item A
Okay,
in the interest of having a consultant here on behalf of the city.
so that would be first then.
Correct.
And then I'd like to talk about mirrors again under unfinished business
Okay,
at the end briefly.
okay. Murals.
Then we going back in line.
Do we want to move unfinished business to after new business then?
Do you want to put that at the end?
I think that would more appropriately go under board comments rather than unfinished business.
That works.
So that would be at the end, right?
It's already at the end.
Okay. Oh, do we need to vote on the reordering?
If you don't mind.
Okay.
Reorder the water project first.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously.
You'd like to approve the minutes?
Yes. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from March 11th?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the March 11th, 2026 regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Approved. Okay, next we have swearing in of staff and applicants.
Plan to give testimony this evening, please stand and raise your right hand. Public comment, just general public comment, does not count as testimony. Only those people speaking. Swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, if so say yes. Thank you.
And we have proof of publication, do we?
It's provided in the meeting packet.
For 1130 South Lakeside Drive, right?
Correct.
Are there any withdrawals or postponements? Doesn't seem like there are.
Nothing from staff?
Okay. Disclosures, board disclosures. I had a call from Jared Roberts, and I believe that's regarding case number 26-001-00056. And we had a brief discussion. He asked me if I had seen the middle, which I had not because it was not on the agenda yet. So we really couldn't say much. I advised him that it would be wise to get staff approval. Well, and that's not going to affect, I'm going to vote purely on what's presented here tonight.
Wise advice.
Okay, anyone else? Disclosures?
So we have any unfinished business?
Remove that.
Right.
No,
Okay, new business.
let's see.
Historic Preservation Board, project number 26-001-00048. What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Get your finger over the arrow.
C, we are gonna do C. Ordinance 2026-04. Consideration of an ordinance to update the city's 10-year water supply facilities work plan pursuant to section 163.3177, 6C of Florida statutes.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Lance Lilly. I am a planner, senior planner, and project manager with Chen Moore. I'm here on behalf of the city for the 10-year water supply plan. Next slide, please. So this request is for approval of the 10-year water supply plan. This is a statutory requirement by the Florida statutes related to comprehensive planning as well as water supply planning. Next slide, please. So the existing plan or the previous plan was conducted in 2020. And as I mentioned, the Florida statute that abides by that mentions that essentially local governments have to adopt a water supply plan 18 months after their water supply or water management district adopts their plan. In this particular case, we have the South Florida Water Management District, which adopted their plan in September of 2024. So we are in the process of getting this particular plan adopted, which through this board, as the local planning agency, this is one step of the approval process. And as I mentioned, it was conducted in 2024 of September. Next slide, please. So the document is broken down into 5 sections. The 5 sections start off with just a brief introduction, which pretty much mentions some of the background, statutory requirements, and then also some regional issues. And then it moves on further to the overview of what the existing water supply systems are. And that includes the general service area, which you'll see on the right-hand side, it's a map for the service area of potable water. Also talks about the water treatment, storage, distribution, and also conservation. And then there's another section, which is section 3, talks about the actual needs assessment. So that's more of the technical part of it, talks about the population projections, some of the water demand and level of service, and then also the projection for water capacity. And the last 2 sections are related to the actual capital improvement program, which essentially is just the city every year has different programs that they have for infrastructure or other things that are done within the city. So this just demonstrates some of the infrastructure related projects that are coming through for the city. And then the last portion is the comprehensive plan, goals, objectives, and policies. I will touch base on that, but essentially we're just updating the previous policies that were done in 2020. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, there's 2 policies that are directly affected by this water supply plan. That's policy 4173, which essentially you'll notice that the strike through was the old language, which was 2018. The most recent plan was from 2024, so that new language is now underlined. And then also it's done later on in the project as well. It says 2018, it's done 2024. And then the last policy is, it mentions March of 2027, which is incorrect. The correct number is 2026. So that's been struck through and now it's 2026, as well as the last plan that was conducted was in 2020. So now it says 2026. Next slide, please. So in short, the recommendation from staff is to approve the transmittal and adoption of this particular ordinance so it can move forward to the city commission. Once it goes before the city commission, we would then have to send it to the state for any comments or information that they have from us. And then it would go before the city commission again for the actual adoption of the plan. Next slide, please. So this board has the option to whether it be make a motion to approve this or recommend approval of this particular ordinance or move to not approve it. And subsequently, as I mentioned, this recommendation, whatever it may be, would go before the city commission for their transmittal of the document. Next slide, please. And this just reiterates the process that I mentioned. This did go before the board, the Planning and Zoning Board last week. Now it's before you all for the local planning agency for round 2. And then essentially, as I mentioned, it would go before the city commission, transmittal to the actual state, so Florida Commerce, and then all the other reviewing agencies, including South Florida, and then second adoption or second hearing for adoption. And next slide. And that is all for my presentation. I'm here for any questions. We also have a representative from Water Utility for any technical questions related to water wells and whatnot.
Has this had a first reading at the commission, or are we just seeing this now for the first time?
No, so it only has gone before the Planning and Zoning Board and then also your board because LPA is the first step of that process. So the city commission will see this at a later meeting.
And we assume that planning and zoning approved?
That's correct.
And the water department is happy with this?
We've worked hand in hand with the water department. We also actually sent this to South Florida. It's not a technical process that you can do, but it's like an informal process that we sent it to South Florida. They had minor comments. We've updated those comments before we came to this board to eliminate any issues at a later moment for the review.
And this new plan. I'm always questioning about city would benefit funding anything in that process, anything like that with this new plan?
So, I mean, the plan really is just, there's some funding related things, but it's not really particularly for funding. It's really just to make sure that we as the city has enough water capacity so they can serve the residents.
Right.
So that's why the population projection portion comes into it.
Mhm.
We project out for a certain number of years and we make sure that we have enough water to supply the city, as well as we're updating any information related to conservation efforts. So for example, if the city adopts a new ordinance tomorrow or something to conserve some of the water, that would help, especially when we're showing it to South Florida.
And even though we have a reverse osmosis plant.
Yeah. And actually, it's even better that the city is doing it because you have your own water plant, whereas some other municipalities do not have their own water plant. So they have to use someone else as a water supplier to provide their water. So it's good that we have that.
See.
And if they didn't say, they would still have to do a plan like that?
Correct. They would still have to do a plan. And in that case, what they would do is just piggyback off of the water supplier's plan and use their information to address those particular comments.
I see. So this is not so much budget related?
No, this is, like I mentioned, this is strictly an update of because every municipality has a consumptive use permit. So essentially that tells the state how much you're going to be using for water. And through that process, this 5-year plan, it's 10-year, but it's a 5-year plan. We are providing South Florida updates of what we think within the next few years are going to be for water supply and water demand.
Are there any environmental concerns in terms of things that can be unforeseen, for instance, an extended drought or any other kind of climate change considerations?
Not to my knowledge, but DEP is a part of one of the agencies that we send this to. So if there are any issues that come up, DEP would provide comments and we have to address those comments. But that's not anything that I can foresee as far as issues.
Would there be any kind of, I don't know what the right word is, any kind of contingency this would have to be revised at some point if something unforeseen occurred?
So if one of the reviewing agencies, because what happens is the state provides an ORC report, so it's objective recommendations and comments. And through those various entities, if those entities had comments or whatnot, they give us the report and we have X number of days to update it. So if there's anything that was a red flag or whatnot, we would update this document accordingly before it goes back to the city.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Is there any public comment on this?
It's a public hearing.
Is there any public comment on this issue? Okay.
There's no one, and no one from the public.
Should call for
Well, I guess is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on this issue? Seems not. A motion. Anybody like to make a motion?
Can you put those back up there again? Oh, no. Okay, it's all right, I'm looking at it. I move to recommend to the city commission to adopt the proposed comprehensive plan text amendments included in ordinance 2026-0.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you for your time.
Thanks for working
Unanimously.
that.
Thank you. Wow. Now, moving along, we have now case A, Historic Preservation Board, project number 26-001-00048, consideration of a certificate of appropriateness for new construction of a single-family structure of approximately 7,828 square feet at 1130 South Lakeside Drive. The subject property is located in the single-family residential zoning district and has a future land use designation of single-family residential. The property is non-contributing to the South Palm Park Historic District. Okay. Does staff have a presentation?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Ann Hamilton presenting case number 26-001-00048, which is for 1130 South Lakeside Drive. As the chair just informed all of you, this is located in the South Palm Park Historic District. It is a vacant lot and is located on the east side of South Lakeside Drive between 11th Avenue South and 12th Avenue South. So this came before you. There was previously a non-contributing structure on this lot. The Hrpb heard this item in 2020 and permitted demolition of the structure on the lot. The applicant subsequently requested from the department to do a lot split. So previously, as you can kind of see based on just the remaining surface prints on the aerial there, this was originally one joined lot. The department approved a lot split in 2020 under case number 20-012-00001. And the property at 1120 South Lakeside Drive, which is the property to the north of the property highlighted in blue, which is 1130, which we're discussing today, did previously come before you and receive approval. So that is currently under construction. So here's the proposed site plan for the property that is under discussion. As you can see, they are located along South Lakeside Drive. They do have that 50-foot additional setback that we discussed last time. It's a fairly large structure, a pool in the back, and it does front the intercoastal. So here is the streetscape, just for context of how the property looks. In context here, you can kind of see 1120, which is that previous approval that you all saw and is currently under construction, 1120 South Lakeside Drive. And just for context, we'll discuss this later, but there are two iterations of this that the applicant has presented. So one is above and one is below. And here's a little bit more detail on those two items. Really, the only difference between them is the presence of those three tall windows on the front facade of the garage. In your staff report, that is staff's preferred option. That is more appropriate because we're not seeing a large blank expanse fronting the essentially primary right-of-way in this instance, and that breaks up that expanse a little bit more. Here's the side elevation, just for your reference, the other side and the rear, and the roof plans. And here you can see the floor plans. One item to discuss that will be a staff condition of approval is they do actually have two stoves indicated on their site, their floor plans. Unfortunately, under our zoning code, essentially the presence of a stove creates a second habitable unit. Because this is in a single family zoning district, they are only allowed to have one stove. So one of the conditions of approval, just based on zoning, is that they must remove one of the stoves so that they do comply with the single family regulations in this district. Just for reference, here's the second story plan. And here are some renderings of the property. So as you can see, it's a fairly contemporary style. In massing, it's very square, horizontally oriented. Here are some more perspective views from South Lakeside Drive. As you could see in the streetscape earlier, it is a little bit lower in context to that structure that is being built at 1120. That's kind of a bit of luck in terms of the FEMA floodplain regulations. This one is actually in a slightly lower flood elevation based on the map than the property next door based on just the contour line. So they are lucky enough, if you can call it that, to only have to extend 10 foot above base flood elevation. So 9 foot required plus the 1 foot freeboard, which we do require. Here are some continued renderings. It does meet all zoning requirements, with the exception of a couple of notational errors that are conditioned in your staff report, as well as that item about the additional stove being shown on the floor plans. Staff has analyzed the construction. While it is a contemporary style, and which is something that we generally discourage in historic districts, usually, with applicants, we kind of encourage them to select among the architectural styles that are prevalent within historic districts. Contemporary architecture is a type of architecture that, if it essentially fits the typology, an applicant can propose to build here. And I will say, as someone that is not typically fond of contemporary architecture, I actually think the applicant has done a fairly successful job in creating something here that is not too large in mass, scale, and in design does fit fairly well within the surrounding district. So it has a smooth stucco exterior wall finish, flat roof, very horizontal massing, smaller than that structure next door, and generally does fit within the context of the historic district, as you can see in this streetscape elevation. Staff is no, this is not the correct slide. Sorry, the edit did not save, I guess. Staff is recommending approval of the proposed new construction because it is consistent with the design guidelines and the historic preservation ordinance, and we have drafted conditions of approval as shown here. And as we discussed, it mainly is choosing option 2 rather than option 1, eliminating that range, changing some notations regarding wall height measurement as well as overall height measurement, and then just the standard of conditions of approval that you all see on every application regarding windows, visible light transmittance, which they do meet all of these requirements. So if you would like, here are some recommended motions. I believe the applicant might like to speak, but if you have any questions for me as well, I'm available. Thank you.
Does that show raised up 10 feet?
Elevation 10.
Yes, so what I was referencing, you can kind of see it is raised up, but not as much as the one next to it to the left. So the one to the left is 1120 South Lakeside Drive. That's the one I was saying is 3 feet higher. Generally, I would say this does seem to be, as far as I can tell, within scale to that.
I'm curious, why wouldn't, I would think that the flood elevation would be, the requirement would be the same for both properties. It's not.
And I honestly would have expected the same, but it is based on the maps that the flood insurance and FEMA put out. And I have consulted with the building official. He said that it is accurate to what he can see according to the maps. It will be reviewed at the time of building permitting by the building department just to ensure that everything meets the required flood elevation. If for some reason, he will require them to have a survey, show that line, essentially contour line, where it goes through the property. So you know, we will be, at the time of building permitting, the building department will be ensuring that this does meet flood elevation. And if it does not, it would come back to you if for some reason there's been an error and it needs to be taller. That is something that we would not approve at a staff level.
Well, as we discovered though, when we were looking at the other house, the flood elevate, the height of the structure is measured from the first floor line anyhow. So it would actually be different from one property to the other property. In terms of the like the NAVD would be different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It is a different NAVD than the property next door.
Hi, can we hear from the applicant? Does anybody else have? I'd like
All
to.
right, I want to hear from Mr. West first.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Wes Blackman. I'm a certified urban planner. I have my own business in Lake Worth Beach, Florida, CWB Associates. And I'm representing LWB Developments, LLC. And Jimena San Vicente is here with XB Architecture. She's going to talk about architectural plans. They've done a lot of good work. Michael Brownlee intended to be here. He's part of the LW Development LLC, but his car is stuck in water. And so I had to call him as soon as the meeting is over. And then we also have Taylor Collin, who coincidentally is working next door at 1120, which is currently under construction. We thought it'd be good to have her here just in case there were questions.
Wait, is that the contractor?
It is a contractor.
Okay.
She is with Collin Building Group LLC. And actually, this is the fourth time this particular piece of land, if you look at 1120 and 1130, has been through Hrpb in a public forum like this. And I had been here at the podium those 4 times. No, 3 times. The first time I wasn't. And that was, I have to correct the staff, that was actually a request to demolish a contributing structure. It was Edgar Borton building. But met its fate. But anyway, that is in the past. I did hand out a summary, which the staff report, and in my justification statement, I did really do a good job of the chronology of all these approvals and so forth. So that's what's in front of you. If you have any questions, again, I wouldn't be at the podium. I wouldn't be here tonight, and we wouldn't have been here before if there wasn't public notice for a meeting. The only thing that was done administratively was the initial subdivision of the lot. And that came after the COA approval for the demolition. So, so just to walk through, the first one was in 2020 for the demolition of the existing structure, which was contributing. The garage was left on the northern lot, which is 1120, for use as a construction office on what was to be a 3D printed house. And
Wow.
Ken Brower, who's the neighbor to the south, to the north of 1120, he was the architect for that particular project. Later in 2020, the initial subdivision of the lots was done administratively, and we have documentation if you're interested in that. These are 2 legal lots, 0.5 feet wider than the minimum allowed. And they each have their own PCN number. The initial certificate of appropriateness for new construction, the 3D house on 1130, have I got you confused yet?
No.
Was in July of 2021. And that was the second time we were or this particular property. In 2022, a COA for the new construction at 1120, the northern lot, was approved. It is the lot that is currently under construction. That was the 3rd time this stretch of land was before the Hrpb. And today marks the 4th time. We're requesting for a COA for new construction at 1130. So we considered requesting the abandonment of 12th Avenue South, the right-of-way, which is immediately south of this parcel. And we did meet with the Kellys, who are next door neighbors to the right-of-way and the closest next door neighbor to the south of this particular property, 1130, about the prospect of doing that. And given the commission direction and expressions negatively from the public about the abandonment of that right of way, we chose not to pursue that. So what we have instead is a piece of property that's 40 feet wide that does give some space and some breathing room on the south side of the structure that we're going to be building at 1130. And Jimena will talk about this, but we made a conscious effort to make that elevation more interesting, since it will get more views from people coming up from the south going north on South Lakeside. And that will always be more visible than just a typical house that would be right next to something else.
I'm sorry, could you say it again? Because I'm looking at that picture and maybe I'm getting disoriented.
Where is it?
You're looking at the west elevation there. The south elevation is the one that has a little more fenestration, a little more interest, and Jimena will talk about that. Okay.
Okay.
An important aspect, and you were talking about this earlier, of the request at 1130 is establishing 10 feet as the base flood elevation for this property project. The 1120 property is being built at a base flood elevation of 13 feet, and you can see that dramatic difference when you're in the field.
Mhm.
And this was done by working with the city's current building official, and Jimena can address that. You have questions too.
He's gonna do you, sorry. You
Yeah.
said you could address the 1120?
1120 is being built.
Yeah. I misunderstood what you just said a minute ago. Where about 1120?
1120 is being built. 1120 is being built at 13 feet. I'm just saying they're right next to each other.
Right.
So there is going to be a grade differential between the two properties.
And then you said something about the building official.
Yes.
She'll be able to explain.
Okay.
And she'll explain the architect rules.
Okay. Thank you.
So we agree with the staff findings that the project is consistent with the city's land development regulations. As proposed, the structure's design is consistent with the requirements of the historic preservation ordinance and the historic preservation design guidelines for new construction. The proposed design falls under the category of contemporary style of architecture, therefore is distinguished from the surrounding historic structures as a new construction project. And we also agree that the vertical window option is the best choice for the western facade of the garage along South Lakeside, and that's in the conditions of approval. And we also agree with all the conditions of approval that are in the staff report. So I'm going to ask Jimena to come up here and she can talk to you about the building. I also have a cross section here which shows the grade differential. It identifies the 12th Avenue South right away, and it also corrects the building height notation that was in the staff report in red. So
Where is that west
at?
in this?
Pardon me?
The correction about the elevation, the.
He has it.
I would give them, yeah,
Oh,
that's here.
I have one question for you before you go.
Yeah.
At any given time in the planning of this project, in the planning of the project next door, I guess you was involved with both projects. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
You mentioned Ken Bowers. He was the first initial architect.
Yes, for
Yes.
1130.
For 1120.
House.
1120.
No, 1130.
So Kim was involved in 1130.
1130 is the southern property, and that was the one that came in first.
Okay.
the 3D printed house.
Okay.
And then 1120 is right next door to Ken.
Okay. But you're still involved with 1120.
Not really.
Not really. Nobody takes. Well, anyhow, do you know the architect of record for 1120?
I do. I believe he's passed.
Yes, don't. For me.
I think we should maybe
Anyway,
stay with
well,
1130.
Well, this is what I'm getting at. On any of these projects, based on the elevation alone, where there should be a landscape plan, a drainage plan presented to this board, a complete set of drawings I almost dare you to tell me where can you go in a city and build something like this and don't have those two drawings?
So those two drawings are required at building permit. That is not a Historic Resources Board preservation requirement, nor is it under the purview of this board to review. So this board is not tasked with reviewing landscaping or drainage plans.
But you must admit this. You have to admit this. Things change. And we should have all the information.
And when this comes in for permitting, you're welcome to make a public records request for those drawings, for those civil drawings. Those will be reviewed by our reviewers for those items, but that is not something that is under the scope. Landscaping is reviewed by our department, but the drainage plan, again, and the landscaping plan is not something that this board is reviewing, nor does this board have the power to review. So that would require a change in your essentially powers and duties.
Well, we should have the power to review all information that comes down the line concerning elevation at 10 feet, that concerning got an impact to the neighbors, not next door, but down the road in both directions. And holding back that information is critical of making a solid decision. Now, if that's staff's fault, that's staff's fault.
I don't think it's staff's fault. What Ms. Hamilton is saying, that's not within our purview. We're looking at historic
So if that's
guidelines.
something that the board would like to be essentially tasked with reviewing, that would be something if down the line, say, we were to make changes to the board's organizational powers, that would be a discussion at that point. But that is not under discussion at the moment. We are just
Well,
reviewing this plan, and we are not reviewing landscape or drainage at the moment.
Well, for the record,
Could Ed sit in on that? Be involved in that outside of this board?
He could contact the permit reviewers once a permit's in and express any concerns that he has. But their reviews are largely separate and, based on their own requirements. So, beyond participating as a member of the public and, requesting information about that, it's not necessarily something that any of you as historic board members can provide official recommendations on.
well, for the record, I want to let you boys my colleagues know, we are approving information half-heartedly because you go in any historical board in any municipality, they have a full set of plans of drainage and landscaping. The reason those plans are important are because FEMA regulations have changed. So our government, our governing of all the information that comes in should change. We have 10 feet. 10 feet means 6 feet, 6 feet of dirt. And here's the bad part about it. We're in a heavy flood zone. They are approving information of drainage plan that they're so far behind, decades behind, against those walls.
No, so again, I want to make the point that we do not approve drainage plans.
You have approved 3 sites so far. This is the 3rd site that there's nowhere catch the water coming.
I don't review drainage plans. I want to be very clear about this.
Mr. Chair, could we please move on? Mr. DeVoe we are planning a workshop in the next couple of months.
I'll let you know right now tonight. We are about to flood all of our properties on Lakeside.
Understood. I just want to move on if we could, Mr. Chair.
Ed,
I just said we got to schedule a workshop.
We got 3 sites so far.
What you're asking staff to do
Ed?
requires code changes.
Ed,
That's what it requires.
we got to move on. We got to move on. We really do.
We should have a full set of drawings in front of us.
We have to move on.
Noted.
But just to be clear though, about drainage, I mean, we're not engineers. We're not
You're right.
really qualified.
You're duly right.
to
You're right.
review.
You're right.
drainage.
But you know what? You got somebody on this board that can physically read a civil engineer drawing, and that's me.
Right. We have to move on.
I'd like to introduce our architect. Menno.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Jimena San Vicente. I'm the ex.
Yeah, you gotta speak directly into the.
Hello.
There you go.
Okay. My name is Jimena San Vicente, and I am with XP Architects. We're the architects of record for 1130. So, so we comply with all the regulation. We actually try to minimize the height of the building to and actually step it down. We're not using the whole site at the elevation of the house. The minimum floor elevation is established by FEMA, so we have to comply with that. But we try to address the three facades as if they were facing the right of way. So can we look at the side, that rendering that has the corner?
Can I just make a comment here?
Yeah.
It sounds like you are in agreement with everything that the staff have recommended.
Correct.
So I'm not sure why you, I mean, do we need to?
If you have any questions.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
we typically give them, a chance to
Okay.
just present on.
It's more like a 3D. One more? Yes, that one from the side. If you see that's the side that faces 12th Street, 12th Avenue South. And we treated that, we're stepping that down and adding landscaping to ease the transition with to that side of the lot. And we placed all the equipment on the other side facing the house that is being built. We're just stepping it down. I don't know if you have any questions, you can see. I think it's best if you can see that you can explain. Yeah, we try to not make it huge monster, but try to step it down on all three sides. Really, we're stepping it down with the garage and in the back with the bathroom, and it's terraced.
So which side is facing to the right of way, the public right of way that we heard about?
The street or to 12th?
Not the street, no, on the right of way that leads through.
The south side.
That would be the
that-
south
yeah,
side right
Yes,
here.
exactly.
Okay.
That's what you're seeing. So we made that intentionally a facade, a design facade.
Mhm.
And we placed all the equipment on the other side.
So the right of way is to the right of that sort of fancy looking thing?
Correct.
Okay.
Now we have to retain some soil there because the house is elevated, obviously.
Sure.
But we try to step it down, especially when you get to the back of the property. We use the resource of an infinity pool to try to step it.
Your plan is beautiful. I have no problem. I have no quarrel with your plan. It even meets the height elevation. I looked at it today. You're under 33.5, something like that there. All right. I just have concerns about your landscaping, which is going to be to the north and the south of the property, the Kelly's properties and the Browers property. I mean, if I saw what kind of tree you were going to put there, I could be a quick feel at ease. I mean, as a board, we should see all the information. That's my argument. It's not with you. Maybe it's a breakdown between us and some.
Do you have a conceptual plan that shows at least conceptual landscaping?
It's a lot, and it's gonna make this house look beautiful, and
It is
we provided. The thing is, the timing doesn't really work because first we're trying to get this approved, and then we'll move on with all the engineers. We will have it. It's just that we don't have it right now. Because usually we don't finalize a project before we get the pre-approvals.
So you right now you're telling me you don't have a civil engineer on board?
We do have a civil engineer, it's just they haven't started working on the project yet. They have
And-
seen the plans, they have pre-approved, but they are not doing their calculations.
So the civil engineer is going to submit those plans to the city?
Correct. We'll have a civil engineer, we have a landscape architect, we have an MEP engineer, we have a structural engineer in our team.
I understand. So, I mean, I hate to say come back, but when you have those drawings, a civil engineer, can you have them look at a WARE system? The reason I'm telling you this,
It's outside of purview.
It may be outside of,
Well, it is outside, so we need to not be,
well,
not to be addressing this right now. Please, we got a lot of people here who need to talk, so.
I'll talk to staff. Thank you.
And we'll be happy to send you the landscape plans and the civil plans when they come in for permit set if you'd like.
One question, so now you're on the mic. So if we approve this right now, you can rest assured they can get a permit tomorrow. Is that correct?
Not that quick.
No, that's not correct. We still need to develop the plans and present the whole set of plans. It has to go through permit, and then it's gonna go through zoning again, and it's going to go through engineering, including civil engineer review.
Here tonight, you all are making a decision on the application for a certificate of appropriateness for this structure, which really is looking at the historic character of the neighborhood and the visual compatibility of this proposed structure with that historic character. So it's a visual compatibility test for you tonight. The plans are not part of that. That is a separate portion of the process.
So do they get you to come back to the board here?
That you all only on this type of application for a single family home, you all only weigh in on the visual compatibility.
Do planning and zoning review this plan? The planning and zoning board review?
No, it's a staff level approval for the other plans for single family residents.
How can we trust?
Well, we get some public comment.
Is anything else
Not from me.
That
Do
you
you have
like
any
to say?
questions?
Okay, yeah, let's open for public comment. I don't have any questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
No, I don't right now, although after public comment, I might.
Okay. Great. Yes. Guess so.
Good evening. I'm Greg Richter, 1202 South Palmway. Actually, my functioning front yard is literally across the street from this property. And I don't know how many of you have actually been down in South Palm Park, because this property, from the day it got approved to tear down a historic property, house, that you let this happen, and a very heavily wooded lot that then got clear cut. Now, I reached out to Sherry earlier today because when 1120 got approved, none of us can recall ever getting a notice of affected party. Sherry showed me a thing from the post office. It's fine. I don't buy it because I never got it, and I read this stuff. I'm actually on the planning and zoning board, and you, sir, are 100% correct. We had the same issue on our meeting last about, we need to see the complete thing. We had an issue and it was the same thing brought up. You're going to make a judgment on something. Anyway, so I'm going to move on. First of all, when you look at, what's appropriate, is it in harmony with the surrounding area? Absolutely not. If you've been in our neighborhood, we're all a bunch of ranch houses, very few two-story houses, unless the two that were approved by this board and historic in the last 3 years totally changed what the harmony of the neighborhood was. Go look at what you approved in 1100 block on Palmway, and now we got these two that are totally not in harmony with what we have. If you wanted to see the lot today, it's underwater right now. Because the other thing that I don't think we're thinking of, I don't know if you're aware at 18th Street, where we just spent $1 million on putting a flood pumping station down there to pump out the water. And the reason that it floods there is all those properties along the waterway are built up and it all comes down into the street. Now, if you look in the future, because if I'm smart and if this goes through, then I'm going to take my non-contributing properties, the same size across the street. I'm going to tear it down, sell it, and make $3-4 million out of it, because that's the market rate for a lot that size down there. This is what this is leading to. But as you do that and you build up these new properties, they are all in the flood zone. You're going to have a canyon on Lakeside Drive on both sides of the street because they're all in the flood zone. So you're going to have this. We don't know where the water's going to go. 18th Street's a good example of what can happen. if this continues. And the water running off 1120 right now, it was like a flood coming down, and there's been a tremendous amount of erosion on the current fill that was put in there. And I hope if this does get approved, and I hope it doesn't, we need to stop and think about what we're doing. But if it does get approved, I want to make sure no more trees get cut down. You got a row of trees.
Oh,
I gotta shut up now. I know it's a tough job you guys got, and I do appreciate what you're doing, but I'm just really, and I know a lot of my neighbors are pretty upset by what's been happening with this particular property. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're just doing a 3-minute time. Just okay.
To the vote, 1106 South Palmway. We did get notice on this property, agree with Greg. We did not get notice on the first property because we would have all been here on that one. I like the visual compatibility. There is no way these modern, very modern homes fit into a historical neighborhood. The Kelly's house is one of the oldest homes in that neighborhood. She's in her 80s and it was her parents' home. She grew up there. The architect on the other side, they have totally demolished their landscape line because it was built so close to them. It's just horrific of what's being done down there. And it's your responsibility as a historical preservation board to preserve our historical neighborhood. And these modern, and somebody said not so large, 8,000 square feet. That is a big house, two of them side by side in a neighborhood that are Florida homes, bungalows, ranch styles. Most of the homes in our neighborhood are single story. And we are already having the drainage issue is already a significant problem right now. And we're all concerned about where you think the water is going to go. These people are living up on a 10-foot hill. Their home, their first story starts at the roof of the house next to it. Where do you think that water's going to go? They've got pipes in the bottom of the walls directed towards the neighbor's house. Is that where the water is supposed to go? Or down the 10-foot hill into a street that we're already having problems even before this significant rain that we had tonight? It's kind of unusual, although we were all like floating out of our neighborhood. I mean, the intercoastal comes across our park into our backyard. If you're familiar with the neighborhood, our homes are Palmway to Lakeside. So even though it's the back of our home, we're looking right at this piece of property. And drainage is a huge concern for all of us in that area. And again, your responsibility to preserve our historical district and the few homes that have already been approved. And again, if we'd gotten notice, we would all been here for the one that's going up right now. It's looks ridiculous. As I said, the first floor's at the roof of the house beside it. So I'd like you to think about what your position is on this board and preserve our historical neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What? If you what? Or you do the same, or you in a second.
Hello,
Yes.
my name's Jackie Gardner. I'm at 1515 South Palmway. And just for the record today, with all this rain, I'm on the west side of Palmway. And to get out, I had to take my shoes off to get out of my driveway. It was up to my calves, the water. So the water coming from that side is huge. Anyway, what I have here is guidelines that were written by William Waters. I think it was 2018, Sunny. So it talks about new construction, and this is from the guidelines up here. So it says, new construction defined as a new structure within a historic district should carefully be planned, designed, so it is compatible with neighboring structures. Could you show a slide that shows that house next to the house on the south? I mean, the actual, so you can, like it's the way they put it up there, it's like this, it looks like it's so far away. That is the size of the house on the south side. And it makes it look like it's very far away, but the breezeway is only as wide as the street. That house dwarfs it. So that is not in keeping by the guidelines written here in what you guys are supposed to be doing. So it also says the best approach to choose is to choose one style of architecture. Not that one, sorry. Few things can disrupt a historical street and district than new construction that is out of scale, too tall, and simply it overwhelms. In a historic district, a greater level of sensitivity is typically required. Sensitivity, compatibility with neighboring structures and homes is important, as important as what's allowed by code. So these buildings, their buildings are just dwarfing everything. And it doesn't fit with the guidelines that I guess that, I live in that neighborhood. I can't even get windows because the mullions aren't right. And yet you take houses like this who are not, there's 10 styles of houses that are allowed in the area, and neither one of those two houses did that bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Janet Seifert. My husband George is here. We have 1218 South Lakeside Drive and 1220 Lakeside Drive. I went through hoops to buy the tiny cottage that was always associated with 1218. I was red tagged. I mean, I tried to restore it, which we did, and it's lovely. And we bought in that neighborhood because it is a historic neighborhood. We've lived here, I guess, 12 years, 13 years. I never saw notification on that big house. It isn't that I think that the second house is unattractive compared to the first house. It's that neither of them belong in our neighborhood. You go to the end of 12th Street, they're enormous. There's no other house in the neighborhood that even comes close. And I would guess that I have the oldest house in the neighborhood. And I'm right next door. You see, there's the Kellys. And that's Dave and Sharon Chapnick, and I'm next door. And I mean, I had trouble, like Jackie was saying, she couldn't get mullions. I had trouble putting in an air conditioning unit. I got shut down. So I don't understand how either one of these houses could be deemed appropriate for our neighborhood. They're enormous, and the flooding is, I mean, we came during the flooding. It's unbelievable. And it's all just going to go downhill. You're going to lose your right of way. But I mean, I don't understand how in anybody's book this is appropriate for our neighborhood.
Thank you.
I'm Bill Robeson. I live at 822 South Palm Way, and unfortunately, I was not aware of the structure that is going in directly across my backyard that was approved last week or last month by the board. I'm having a hard time understanding the purpose of the board. I just don't understand what it is that is causing the change in the view of this board to make the environment that we live in. I don't understand the purpose of your board now. You're really, really good at slowing down projects that are deemed inappropriate or not historical for the rest of the neighborhood. But then we go build these behemoths that are absolutely out of the norm. So not one of you is going to take a second to explain to me why it is you think that these changes are important. But we have this big conundrum right now. You can't get windows approved. You can't get fences approved, you can't get sliding doors approved, you can't get other projects done because they're not deemed appropriate for the historical neighborhood. So explain to me how appropriate these two houses are to the neighborhood. Let's start with you, sir.
We don't do that here, sir.
You don't. That's fine. So it's really.
But we could, but when we're done with all the public comments, we can address things that we want to address. We could still do that.
It would be useful, I think, beyond my 3 minutes, to hear the board talk about the appropriateness of this. Because I don't, I'm a retired military guy. I don't get it. I just don't get your willingness to make these changes to what is the historical in nature of our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
You still timing?
Anybody else? Public comment? Do we have more? Did we have any write-in comments? Do we usually read those?
Yes, we usually read anything that we receive. We did not receive anything for this particular project, written comment. I'm not sure what comment you're referring to.
Yeah, yes.
Back to the board. Board member comments, questions?
Well, I think there are some very good questions. I think that area, I mean, and we've sort of talked about this before. What happens in historic districts that are in flood zones? Because any new construction has to be built up. And there are issues. I mean, I don't know how that gets solved. And can you address that at all, or?
I mean, to a certain extent, we are more or less constrained by FEMA. Obviously, I think from your experience for historic properties, we do have abilities to kind of, we are empowered in a way that, you're not for anything else, to waive those requirements for historic structures just because of their importance. Unfortunately, that's not something that FEMA has seen fit to essentially offer anyone the ability to do for new construction and visible compatibility. So we are limited by just the requirement for overall height. That's not going to change. If anything, that's only ever going to get taller. And the canyon effect is absolutely a concern. And I think I've addressed this with the board, previously. I think that is where some of what I think is coming up in some of these discussions where we are talking about visual compatibility, overall heights, what you're allowed under zoning regulations in terms of overall height. Obviously, as we've discussed, your height is measured from base flood elevation. It doesn't take it into account. So, really you are ending up with a much taller structure just by virtue of that. The board is empowered through design review essentially to say, well, just because you're entitled under zoning to have a 30-foot building doesn't mean that you can actually reach that. We're going to say, no, you need to, shrink your overall height. You need to step back your massing. You need to make changes to this structure essentially so that your overall massing, is smaller and less, overpowering. That's something that I think we as staff, and especially you as the board, because as staff we're kind of constrained by the design guidelines and what the design guidelines say we can and can't approve. As a historic preservationist, I don't even necessarily agree with all of the directives in the design guidelines, but that's what we're tasked with reviewing structures under. So when I write a staff report, when I say something's visibly compatible, that's based on what the design guidelines say. you as the board can interpret it your own way and say, well, we think that there are changes that can be made to this that would make it more visually compatible to a historic district. I think the overall, what I would boil it down to is you guys can always ask for more. You can always ask for, for changes that do as much as possible mitigate those, flood level effects, and the canyoning effect. And, it is something that you can recommend that applicants make changes to their projects to. Now, as I put in the staff report, is this one that I think is necessarily egregious in height? No, I actually think this is one of the better ones that we've seen as far as overall height. I think we have, to some of the public comment point, seen some that maybe are not, in the past to scale, but the board has seen that they're visually compatible and so approved them. So I think this is a long-winded way of saying just you as a board have power to make people make changes to their designs, so that they're not so overwhelming.
So you're telling me, out of your mouth, I heard you just a minute ago, we can tell you them to make changes to the canyon effect, the water.
Well, you can make design review related changes. So pursuant to the previous discussion, you can't make any recommendations about, civil engineering plans or things like that. But if you think the way that a property has been designed is going to essentially cause it to look way out of scale, to its neighbor. So it's, you
That
look
brings
at,
me back to 1860. How come we knew 1120 was massive? How come that we didn't have 1130 pushed back further like we did, like 860?
you mean 826 that we saw last month?
We saw that in the mass scale.
So that's something you could ask for.
Remember, he met the roof guideline by a little lower than 18 inches.
He did a very good job.
He did a good job. But this right here brings me to another one.
You've got a 3-car garage and a 50-foot setback, and the majority of the houses can start till the end of the garage.
What's the setback on this one? Do you want to flip to a side slide that shows the setback?
Yeah, so the garage is I'm sorry, my eyes are not the best. But the required setback is, okay. The required setback is 50 feet. The garage is set back to 50.16. And then, like you said, the bulk and mass of the structure, anything that's 2-story, anything that is not that front garage, is set back substantially further than that. So
Are most of the houses on that street set back at 50, or are they set back much further?
I have not done a streetscape study, so I don't feel comfortable addressing that without looking at that. We're not accepting public comment right now. We're now in executive session. The board is not fielding public comment at the
Can we
moment.
pull this 10 feet back?
So you're 45.
If you'd like to request that, yes.
The front door is 45 feet back of the.
And talk into your mic.
I'm sorry, the front door is 45 feet back of the garage, so that's 95 feet back from the street. So I think they did a good job with that. I don't know about 1120. We can't reopen that can of worms.
No.
Well,
No, it's under permitting. It's currently in the process of being built.
We can't reopen that, so
Yeah.
I do think that.
And I was not here for the approval process for that, so I can't speak too much to it. I don't want to.
I don't want to throw any. I don't even know who was. But in comparing this to the neighborhood, we can't say that it fits the neighborhood, only comparing it to the one new build that's not even finished yet.
No, correct. So that is.
When we say it fits within the neighborhood, if we look in our
We don't
staff
know.
report.
We don't know that gonna be.
Huh?
You really don't know the end product yet.
Yeah, no, but if we look in our staff report, the criteria is supposed to be that it should be in harmony with the height of the existing buildings. And the only,
But we know it's not.
it's only in harmony with 1120.
Yeah, but we know it's not, 'cause it's two.
No, height wise, it's still
I'm putting
okay,
more.
because you say there are some 2 stories.
There are some, I will say, you know, this area is historically
Ranch.
a lot of ranch style, 1 story, very flat, very, you know, not built up homes. I think
Are most of them
We have
contributing or not?
again, not something that I want to make a direct statement on without doing some more research. I don't want to misspeak.
Okay, because my point sort of is if most of these are not contributing, they're probably going to end up, yeah, getting demolished and changing the feel of that neighborhood, aren't, and because everything's going to be flooding.
So again, please, we are not taking public comment right now.
Can we hear from Wes again?
So just to address that, unfortunately, in our code, we have been preempted by the state as far as allowing demolitions of non-contributing structures in flood zones. So you as the board, we as staff, unfortunately, don't have any power, in fact, to block the demolition of some of those non-contributing structures. That is a Florida state statute thing. Different interpretations about how it's applied, but the way that we have written it into our code, and we'll actually address this during
when you
staff
When
notation.
you say blocking, I mean, we certainly can't be required to give a certificate of appropriateness to a demolition.
So it's actually the applicant is not required to request a certificate of appropriateness.
Okay.
We have to notify you. I think when Annie was here, some of you that were here were used to being notified about, you know, demolitions for condemnations and things like that. But we are not allowed to require a certificate of appropriateness. We are not allowed to require simultaneous plans for new construction. As much as we'd love to, that is always the most appropriate way to go about things, to avoid having empty lots and sitting there for a while, because that also is not contributory to the character of a neighborhood, but that is direct from Tallahassee. So that would have to be something that you'd have to speak to your legislature about, and perhaps see change in.
That wouldn't be in our purview one way or the other.
That would be in your purview as a private citizen who has the power to write to their legislators. But yes, not as a historic board.
It wouldn't be in our purview to deny anyone. I mean, as you said, we wouldn't be considering a COA for a demolition, but you're saying also even for a contributing structure.
No, for a contributing structure, yes, we are able to bring that. You are able to block that.
Contributing structure, but we can also, in a contributing structure, we can require to see the design of what's going to be there before we consider the question of a COA.
My recollection, those are 2 separate issues, and that came up one time where it was like, you know, we can't put the cart before the horse, that we had to decide separately. We couldn't meld those two in terms of making a decision. That was my recollection from something.
Separate applications, but you can always, you know, you can always take it into consideration, I think.
Can we go to Mr. West? He was standing there a long time.
Sure, yeah, Wes, if you'd like to.
Yeah, I have some things to add, and I do feel your pain because I was up there and chair of this board for a while.
Mr. West, before you go any further.
Yes.
I hate to be impatient. I'm not impatient. I want to ask one question.
Okay.
This structure right here, how far back would you push this? Just push it.
Well, I think it's pushed back far enough, and I think you're picking on the wrong property. And I think you have to remember that these are the highest value properties in the city. This is intracoastal frontage. And if you have any non-contributing structure that is sitting on the lakefront, the pressure to redevelop is tremendous.
Yes.
And you do have
Those aren't
going to
be there long.
What is acceptable for modern construction. And this is significantly set back. We're starting with a 50-foot setback, which is unique along South Lakeside Drive in this location. And then, as was pointed out, you have an additional 45 feet to the front door, which is, on from the right.
To the second story.
So, also with this particular property, you have the permanent relief of the public right of way just to the south. So you're not going to have another house right next to this. And you have an interesting facade to look at as you're going north on South Lakeside. And there is a school of thought in historic preservation as it relates to historic districts in general, is that architecture should be a reflection of the current time that it is built. So this structure is going to have historic merit in 50, 75, 100 years. So we have to keep that timeline, and it can't be a regurgitation and provide a false sense of history. This is a building of our current state and time, whether we like it or not. So,
But with that argument, we should never consider any kind of historic guidelines then, because you're asking us to recreate a wheel.
I'm saying that for new construction on a vacant lot,
Mm.
you should have the freedom to conform to a very strict historic pattern with mullions on the windows and do a colonial effect if you want to, a smaller scale house. But if it is a vacant property, a high value property, you should have some freedom of expression.
Well, here's my thing. By the way, staff did a great job with the packet and gave me all the information that I needed to think about this. I was reading, I did usually bring my iPad, but if didn't want it to get flooded on the way in.
I'm available for questions.
Yes, thank you, Wes. Yes, thank you. Okay. On page 218 of the Historic Preservation Design Guidelines, something really stuck out at me when I was reading this. It says, if new constructions occurring in an area with larger lots where orientation of historic structures relative to the street is less consistent, again, new construction can take its cues from the neighborhood. The consistent theme with new construction is to look and listen to the neighborhood. All the direction needed is already there. So that really kind of struck me because, I think the neighborhood is here and I'm listening. I'm getting less comfortable with this contemporary modern thing that we seem to be creating here when we're looking at some of these buildings. I think you had mentioned, the last meeting, that it's not a design guideline in the guidelines as we, have received them. Looks like we're kind of creating something. So I'm wondering, again, where we're going with this, because if we're just creating a contemporary modern design guideline that's not in our guidelines, then it feels artificial to me. And I have concerns about that. I'm still not sure I'm understanding the height of this building, because under the staff packet where it says provided, it says not correctly measured on plans, condition address added to address. I'm not quite sure I'm supposed to vote on something that, at least unless I missed something, that I haven't received the building height on this.
So just to clarify, that just means that the way that they've notated it on the plans, and Wes has already provided a correction for it, is incorrect. It still meets all zoning requirements.
Well, again, just to finish my thought.
Sorry.
That's okay. I don't see anything that's compatible with the houses in this area. I understand that the house next door is already, that was before, I think most of us were on the board, not an excuse, just information. And so I think if we're to start to look at these behemoths that are in our historic neighborhoods, it's going to change the fabric of the historic neighborhood, and I have concerns about that.
And if I can make an inquiry as staff, and maybe talk amongst yourselves about this, is it a board direction then? Because we, as staff, when we bring in applicants, we do like to take board direction. We do like to tell them essentially, how the board will be seeing and reviewing applications. And as Mr. Blackman said, there are kind of multiple schools of thought as far as historic preservation. Traditionally, the way that we have been reviewing things, for better or for worse, and I think that lends itself to some of what we're seeing here, is kind of what he was saying, this idea that as long as something fits in a distinct architectural style, even if it's not something that we do see in the broader neighborhood, it's something that we can consider and bring forward to the board. Is it then the board's direction maybe that we need to start directing applicants more strongly towards taking visual cues, visual design, architectural, essentially architectural inspiration from buildings within the surrounding district then, because certainly that's something that I'm happy to do. I think that is a perspective that the board, or direction that the board could take if they so chose. Is it
That would
then
be wise.
okay?
Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about in these page 217, 218 is, pick a style and stick with it. I don't know what this style is. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful house. Somebody needs 6 bedrooms, mazel tov, good for them. It's not compatible with anything that I've seen in any other design guideline. So, if we're creating something, then that's a conversation I think that we need to have, maybe not now, not, in this venue, but we need to have it.
I think in the workshop probably that we're planning to schedule, but noted, we will push people more towards looking at architectural styles that exist in the neighborhood then.
Because we asked for W Moda. W Moda had to come back with something that was more compatible with, Art Deco or some other kind of, design guideline. And, we've asked that of other projects.
I think this particular street, though, is unique in that it's waterfront property with huge lots. And people aren't going to be keeping those little bungalow cottage. I mean, that's,
Well, if it's.
and in a flood zone.
Well, the flood zone is a huge issue, okay? That's what, to me, the compatibility in this case has everything to do with scale, okay? And we're sort of really in a really hard place here because with the FEMA guidelines, I mean, if you look at the context slide that they had, today we wouldn't be able to build any of those houses.
Right, that are there now.
They'd all be raised up.
And they'll
10
probably
feet.
be underwater eventually anyway.
And FEMA's
To say that, but-
guidelines exist for a good reason. We can't have people build, people can't get insurance. We can't be building homes in an area or building homes in a flood zone where they are in fact going to be flooded in 10, 20 years.
A couple of weekends ago, I was in Crystal River, and there were a number of homes there that had serious flooding in that area, as many of you know. They had several homes that we saw that were up on stilts. They had actually raised the houses up. So these are historic houses that had been raised up. So I'm not saying, I don't know if I would agree with you that all these homes are going to get demolished. I mean, that would break my heart, and that's not what people moved here bought these houses. But maybe at some point we're going to be looking at raising the historic houses up. They had some great examples of that in Crystal River.
Well, that is very true. Especially with the wooden structure, then you can raise the house up and bring it up to the proper elevation. But but on the other hand, I think so we don't have this mass, this building of architectural. I think when you're raising something up elevation 10 with elevation 10, but the road is 4, you're going 6 feet up. That should be finished elevation. And if you're doing that, you should consider and force them more into a single family structure with elevated. So the house.
It is single family. Do you mean single story?
Single story, yes, single story. Thank you very much. Single story. Sort of force them and push them in that direction, and that will keep more in line with the neighborhood, and the mass won't look so great. On the other hand, I really think, and I know staff haven't done this, and I'm not throwing staff beneath the bus. As far as the drainage concerned, there should be some kind of weir system. There should be some kind of canopy system so the water don't go off into the road. You go by the neighborhood right now. We got sand in the middle of the road because somebody's not doing their job. They don't have any silk screen fence up to stop it.
So all new development, all new construction is required to comply with the stormwater management code.
Somebody missing the boat.
Administered by the city.
Somebody
It's
missing the boat.
administered by the South Florida Water Management District and the Lake Worth Water Management District.
But
The houses that exist had no stormwater control when they were built. Over time, we have implemented different different requirements for stormwater management. And we have stormwater management requirements today that didn't exist at the time this neighborhood was platted and subdivided at all. So, what they will be required to do in their stormwater management is more than what the existing properties already have in that area. They will be required to comply with stormwater management, with which whatever those codes are, they have to hold the water on the property for a period of time and release it in a controlled manner.
So what are you telling me to hear tonight? Out of your mouth?
I'm not an engineer. I don't review the plans for compliance. I'm just telling you my.
The city is aware,
understanding.
the city is aware of Lake Worth PD, Lake Worth Drainage District, South Florida Water Management District requirements to retain that water on their property.
There are ordinances in place, is what I'm saying.
Not-
That are reviewed at the time of building permit. They have to get a
I'm glad
permit
you said that.
to issue.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm gonna tell you, $1 to 100, there is no wear system going against it. Now, one of those walls, you know, the wear system where you take from the foundation to the top of the wall, it's about.
I can't speak to the other property. I just know that at the time a building permit is reviewed for compliance with stormwater management regulations that are in place. Permits have to be obtained by the water management district prior to issuance of a building permit.
So.
And again, this is not something
I'm not
that
gonna beat you up, but go ahead.
us as planning, zoning, historic preservation review. This is not
But
something
it's,
that.
but it's an interesting question. It does go to the scale of and the conformity of scale of a new structure, because I mean, and there's something sort of unique that's happening here that where, you know, we're required to put the, when I say we, you know, because I'm an architect, but anyway, we're required to put the first floor of the structure above a certain elevation by FEMA. But that does not require you to do the you know, berm the entire property up to that same elevation.
Right.
And I think there is a valid question of like what's happening, what's the displacement in terms of water, but then aesthetically also, and that does come to our board and is in our purview.
And yes, I think
Aesthetically,
aesthetically you can.
what's happening when we're, you know, a new house over here, and every time we build a new house now, we're going to put it on a artificially built hill that wasn't there before. Something to think about.
Okay. So I'm sorry, Ethan.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm done.
You know, as a contractor or as a builder, my first thought with this property is take every single drop and the gutters and run it all out into the lagoon through underground drainage. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
No.
And with the 50, but that would be the best thing for the building. With the 50-foot setback and you having to retain it on the property, there's nowhere to put it other than in the front yard.
That's not true. That's not true.
But we're not really, we're
They
not
have
talking
to
about
meet-
water management.
We have pervious area.
There you go.
requirements
There we go. We haven't
that
gotten
they
there
have
yet.
to meet. They may
Is that
be
true?
enough, they may not be enough, but that's not for us to decide.
Yeah.
Which brings me to that point, because you mentioned pervious. The driveway, is it pervious?
I think again, we should stay away
Yeah,
from the whole
I know-
drainage thing.
Stay away from it because what's happening is it's in the runoff.
Well, I mean, if what we're
Can you
supposed to
change-
be looking at is,
They do meet their impervious surface requirement as well as their front yard landscape requirement, if that's what you're driving
It
at.
says here that they required, I think I'm reading this right, they required 50% and they have 41%. 50% would be a max. So they're well within our zone.
Pervious, the pervious design.
Yes.
The pervious. And a
To me-
few months ago,
Go ahead.
a few months ago, you said we had another issue and you said, well, we have the code for a reason. We need to follow the code on that
Right.
issue.
That's my word.
We have the code for a reason.
That's true.
We need to let them follow the drainage code.
There's
The
no
per-
drainage code.
The stormwater runoff requirements, we
don't have it in front of us, so we can't talk about what we don't have.
But they're gonna be required to follow it
How you know?
by the building
So-
department.
How you know?
In your
How you know?
staff report,
How
the
you know?
criteria that
We
you were.
have assume
We have
that
to
the
assume-
building department is gonna do their job in reviewing
Well, we know how
structures
that.
that are
The
submitted.
criteria that you are reviewing are on pages 4 through 6 of your staff report. If you would like to go through them one by one and discuss them to see if this project meets that criteria or not, we can do that. But we really need to stick to the criteria on pages
Yeah.
4 through 6.
Can we go to the streetscape again? So I have a lot of thoughts on this building. I don't particularly like it, but that's cannot influence my decision. I actually think that building makes 1120 look better on the streetscape with the surrounding houses.
What?
I think that the height of this building and the size of it and the step back, that I don't know if the architect did that on purpose with the second floor starting at 95 feet, makes 1120 look better. It's more of a
So-
gradual transition back to the ranches.
Hmm.
And for that reason, I would want to continue with the direction of them building this, even though I don't particularly like it. I have some nitpicking things about the design that I would want to talk about.
Can I ask, I'm sorry, are you done?
I mean, if you think about it like that, I think that one makes 1120 look better. We can't do anything about 1120.
Yeah, here's my question is the scale of the two houses to the right, are those to scale?
Those grade faded side. you mean?
Yeah, the ones on the side, those are to scale.
They should be.
Is it an accurate representation of the scale vis-a-vis the other property? Thank you.
Don't forget the garage is 3 feet lower than the front door, which is the first floor elevation.
Okay.
So they're doing their best to manage it.
Right. Getting ready to vote?
Yeah,
I mean-
those are my questions. Does
Michelle, did you wanna say
anyone,
anything?
are we getting close to a motion?
I mean,
Does anyone else have?
I guess my recommendation would simply be to take into account some of the neighbors, and I do love the designs. But because we're trying to stay true to our historic board preservation role, the feel of the neighborhood and the look, simply by just seeing it compared to the other houses, maybe it could look a little different, a little bit more ranchy style, not so contemporary, because it really does look very contemporary and blockish. I don't have a problem with the size or any of the things that, any of the other things, because I do trust that our city would comply with all the rules and, drainage and all the other things. And again, it's not our purview. We can't really talk about that too much, but that would be my recommendation.
But the size also is what I mean, I'm going to guess that there aren't houses that size in that neighborhood.
They're going to be.
Well, and there are
And there are.
that's what I'm saying. This whole street is very unique. It's going to change. Do we want to, kill this one? Because the next one's going to be down the line and the next one.
There are some newer, larger houses in that neighborhood.
Are they?
I don't know if they're as tall as these, but there are recently, houses that have been built under the current FEMA guidelines. And, like I said, you're seeing like a hill or a berm
If
where
I-
the house is set up. But that's, they're trying to mitigate the height of the actual structure by building up the landscape around it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's which way do you go?
Yeah.
If I may, the setback of the proposed house at the garage is
50 and a half foot.
the house to the south is set back 35 feet. So that's closer, 15 feet closer to the street. And then, from a perspective standpoint, the further the house is set back,
Smaller it looks.
the smaller it appears.
I think in the future,
And then
yeah.
to the other board members.
It would be nice to,
The house is
it would be
almost
nice to see
3
that.
feet
And I
back.
think in the future, if there's cases like this, we should see like a streetscape that
Yeah.
shows the
rendering.
setbacks of all
3D.
neighboring houses,
That's a good
so
idea.
that we can kind of judge that, because I was thinking the same thing.
aerial.
Some of these houses may be set back, 50 feet plus, and some of them might only be 20, 30 feet. I don't know from this.
And what about two? I mean, because this was what we discussed at the last one. They're going to put so much landscaping and vegetation in the front, you weren't even really going to hardly even see the house. You know what I mean? Because if you could do a lot of that.
So again, going back to previous discussion, we're not reviewing landscaping. Landscaping is not something we could take into consideration here.
I'm
No,
sure
no.
a house of this caliber, they're gonna landscape.
Yeah, yeah.
I know you have that.
But I
I
do,
we had last week of 860 had the house was set back and it's beautiful. The grading package was outstanding. And you know, we had very little issue with it, all besides the roof. But if that property, 1120 was similar to that, we'll be out of this meeting by now. It's not. It's not.
1120, we're not talking about 11.
No, I'm sorry, 1130, thank you. For record, 1130. It's not even close. The grading is not even close. And we all like the grading of 1160 last week.
See, I think one of the other issues, people get very frustrated when they can't put a certain door, have to look at mullion, you know, that sort of that really nitpicky stuff about their little bungalow house. And then whammo, this appears. I mean, I can understand some real frustration with that, for sure.
Well,
So can we sort of make a recommendation for them to go and come back with another design? That would
If you want to.
I have
I mean-
Mr. Blackman, is this a house that a customer is building, or is this you're building as a developer?
This particular house is a spec house, but one
Oh.
of the people who is part of the LWB development owns 1120.
Yes, so
He is a neighbor and he's building his neighboring house.
Oh,
I see. Okay.
were you going to suggest, could he go back and tweak it a
Well,
little to look a little?
I'm sure they have a lot of work in this
Yeah.
already, but
Yeah.
I mean, that would
They
have to
can
be a
cer- they
motion.
can certainly
We'd have to deny them if we
Yeah.
were gonna.
No, so you're welcome to offer them a continuance. If you just give them strong direction as far as how you'd like to see the design adjusted or a new iteration, I would recommend continuing the application rather than completely denying it. It makes it a lot easier on the applicant.
I couldn't help but notice.
Also note, and thank you for noting that this is a transitional structure here. We're going from 1120 to this structure to unimproved right of way to a very small house, which could be potentially redeveloped with sometime 20 years from now. We just don't know. So, but if you could give us clear direction, we could come back with some.
I couldn't help but notice in the packet tonight, you had the address 826 Lakeside Drive. The one that was on the meeting last week.
last month.
Last month, yeah.
No, that was an error. We included the wrong justification statement. You should have received an email with the correct justification statement as well.
I was gonna say about landscaping, you know, the applicants are free to bring in and show us their landscaping if they think that it helps to aesthetically
Yeah.
show what they
Which the
want
other
to
people
do.
did.
You should not be taking that into consideration, though, when you make your decision, just
No?
as a clarification. No, because like we discussed, it's not under your purview. And it is something that ultimately they could remove or change. So, you know, ideally, yes, it's lovely when people bring landscape plans, but please, in the future, if someone brings a landscape plan, don't use that as a justification for approving an application.
And again, Wes Blackman, for the record, a landscape plan is not part of the checklist for an application like this.
No, it's not, but I mean, as you know, the renderings that they show, including this, shows trees on it. It shows landscaping, because if we were looking at the building and there was no vegetation shown at all, that would not give us a realistic view of what that property is going to look like when it's
I
built
agree.
either.
The best friend of bad architecture is good landscaping.
Your architect's sitting right behind you.
Yes.
All right, so how do we
How do we move forward? Does anyone want to make a motion?
well, Ms. Hamilton says if we just completely come out and deny it, that's more problematic than asking for some kind of a continuance, I don't know what the correct word is, to
Yes.
come back with a plan that is more in guidelines with the historic preservation guidelines, one of the 10 design guidelines, maybe addressing some of the issues of scaling and massing. And I don't know, I'm not an architect, I couldn't give you any direction with that, but Wes is brilliant, I'm sure he'll come up with something.
So
I would just essentially, if you're going to be making a motion, say you're making a motion to continue the application. It needs to be date certain. So if you'd like to give the Wes, would a month be enough, or would you want to maybe?
I wouldn't want to have us adhere to a month. I think that puts a lot of pressure, so.
I mean, we could always do a month, and then if you so choose, we could continue it additionally. But if you'd prefer,
Okay.
what was that?
Looking at the criteria, if we were to not deny and continuing it is effectively denying it right now.
No, there's a distinction.
No, I'm not gonna approve it.
The,
It's just gonna harm.
the potential
Yeah.
that if you deny it, if they don't alter the plan substantially enough, that they would have to wait 6 months to reapply.
Oh.
Or
Okay.
you're-
Okay.
Giving them a continuance.
Okay.
If we look at the criteria,
To the city commission.
it sure can. And I'm sure we'd have a packed house that night as well.
If we were continuing it, could they appeal to the city commission?
Okay.
No.
I think we would not be depriving the property owner of the fullest use of their property, which is a criteria that we have to abide by, if we ask them to make it more in line with the neighborhood. I don't particularly like how modern it is. I don't like the vertical windows. I don't like the window on the right side. I don't like the facade of the garage with is that coral tiles? It looks like concrete blocks. I can't tell. I don't particularly like that. I don't think there are any other coral facades.
Wes,
on,
does the place have to be 7,000?
I do think the scaling and masking is good.
Does it have to be 7,800 square feet? Does it need to be that big?
The square footage is part of the program.
It's part of the program,
owner's
does it
not
have-
here, so I can't make those decisions, but
That's-
What are the floor to floor heights? Is there any way of bringing down
It
10 and 9? That's not giving us much extra to work with.
and your 10.
Don't you think the other house looks like it fits better?
Thank you.
The one-
11 and 9. Thank
11,
you.
20?
If we could.
Sorry, look like
avoid
what?
Speaking to
It's
one another
less
from
square
the
meter.
audience to the chair, because that
It's
that
confusing.
disrupts our audio
Yeah.
for
Oh.
the minutes.
Okay.
And
Here they
if
come.
we were to need to refer back to the audio at some point for legal reasons. if we
I'm ready to
hear
make a motion.
precedent.
I want to hear from,
11 and 9.4, that's for the second floor.
oh,
Bottom floor is 11 feet
And
and
the, yeah,
the upper floor. Okay.
the floor system, we accounted as 2 feet.
Okay.
The ductwork and
so.
That's
Again,
the floor to floor though, and the floor to floor,
floor to floor 13 and yeah.
Okay.
And then we have 2, 11, 12. It's we have the elevation there.
so 11 and 9 is actually the clear inside.
Is exactly.
Okay.
It's the ceiling, floor to ceiling.
Ceiling height is 11
Floor to
feet and 9 feet.
Yeah.
So if I can encourage you to make a continuance,
okay.
if you could just give the applicant direction as far as, and let me paraphrase what I'm hearing, and you can correct me maybe. So the board direction would be that the essentially scale, massing, overall height isn't necessarily the issue. It's more of an architectural style. You would like to see them take design cues from nearby properties, so something that has historic precedent in the surrounding neighborhood. Are there any other items you'd like to see them address as well? Or is that a good enough starting point in the board's opinion?
That was,
I'm just not sure that the scale isn't still going to be an issue.
So scale is something you'd like to see addressed.
Yes.
As much as they can.
Yes.
You know, they have,
Yes.
it has to be within reason.
To be
because
within reason.
We obviously can't tell them to, you know, be in scale with those other properties around it because they wouldn't be able to build anything.
I was going to say you could ask them to do that, but I think it would make their job exceptionally
It
hard.
would be impossible.
I'm assuming that 6 bedrooms are needed. That's non-negotiable.
It's a spec home. We don't set the program.
It's a spec house, so we.
Yeah, the scope of work is given by the
Okay.
client.
Right, but if, I mean, a 4-bedroom house is smaller than a 6-bedroom house.
The square footage of the building isn't really your purview either, and the number of bedrooms or the interior of the building is not.
Only the numbers
Yeah.
go.
This, you know.
Again, I think the scaling and mass of this house makes 1120 look better.
But that's a reflection on 1120.
Well,
saying
it's a reflection on the entire street.
I think it's immaterial.
It's already done.
Let's build 3 more big houses and then it'll all look, you know, have conformity.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's a specious argument. I think.
We can instruct them to build a house with similar scaling and massing with an architectural style similar to the rest of the neighborhood. And then in the future, we can really go try to stay away from 2 stories.
That sounds good. Do you want to make a motion? What you just said?
I want to make a motion for continuance with on this item. Yes.
Few dates, please, since we're continuing, because we need to have that in the motion. The May meeting. May 13th. Or June 10th. The May meeting only gives them 2 weeks.
Yeah, they gotta have it to
June,
staff 2 weeks before.
June meeting would be more appropriate, wouldn't it?
If
June meeting, yes.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, June meeting, yes.
I move to continue this item to the June meeting, June 10th, with the direction that we've given to Mr. Blackman and the architect
Would that give you enough time to?
at 6 p.m.
Would that give you enough time to get it over to the city, put it on the website so that the neighborhood can see it?
That's not.
Can you be specific in your motion,
Okay,
not just
yes.
the direction?
I apologize. Let me pull up the Okay, I move to continue HRPB project number 26-001-00048 for the construction of a new single-family house at 1130 South Lakeside Drive until June 10th at 6 p.m. The applicant has to have their stuff to the staff 2 weeks before.
But with
And
what changes are you asking?
And I want them, I would like them to have the scaling and
Mass scaling.
the mass and scaling should be similar.
And
the design should be less modern.
Right.
More
in line with the other houses on the block.
and the historic preservation guidelines.
Well, they're meeting historic preservation guidelines.
And get the feel of it.
Yeah, the feel of the neighborhood.
I would start with Ken and Linda's house first. Have one house over. Take a look at it.
One of the design features, you know, yes, incompatible with the rest of the neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the neighborhood is very eclectic, so.
Sure.
They would have to, I guess.
Now, do
use their
you-
own Imagination to determine and demonstrate to us.
But the
how-
guidelines say, pick a style and stick with it.
Do you
You know,
intend that to be any architectural style that can be found in the South Palm Park Historic District that is considered contributing to the district?
I like that.
That's
Yeah.
reasonable.
Yes.
She said.
You won't have to look too far.
I think the architect is gonna do
He won't have to
did a
look
great
too
job
far.
with this one. He's gonna
Right
do a
next-
really good
one
job
house
soon.
over. One house over. Thank you. Okay, I second that.
Mr. DeVoe seconds.
We have a motion and a second.
Yes.
All
Aye.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
Continue.
I'm very excited to see what you come back with.
It's a conundrum.
For all those who said we were schmucks.
Hmm?
And for all those who said we were schmucks and not doing our job.
What do we have now? We got one more.
Hit one more.
Whew. Okay.
Okay, next case. We have.
One minute, again.
Put my glasses on so I can actually read it. Okay. We have Historic Resources Preservation Board Project number 26-001-0056. Consideration of a certificate of appropriateness for ad valorem tax exemption. One historic setback waiver and alteration of the commercial storefront at 716 Lake Avenue. The subject property is a contributing resource in the Old Town Historic District and is in the downtown zoning district.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Ann Hamilton again, presenting case number 26-001-00056. This is located at 716 Lake Avenue, which is in the downtown area of Lake Worth, right around the corner from here. This is a contributing structure in the Old Town Historic District. It is currently a vacant commercial storefront, and it is located on Lake Avenue between North J Street and North K Street. So here is a image of the subject property as it exists today. It's currently a vacant storefront, but it has most recently housed a succession of antique mall businesses from approximately the 1970s to 80s onward, and has been vacant for the last couple years. And we'll go more into the history of the property as we go along. So here's another closer up view of the current conditions of the property. As you can see, it features a knee wall, some essentially storefront features on either end there, and then a overhang stucco over the top. That's that blue feature. So we actually are lucky enough to have historic blueprints of this structure. Edgar Wortman was mentioned earlier as the architect of that previous home that was demolished, and he actually built this structure as well. So we are lucky enough to have dated plans from this. So we know that it was built in 1946. Just a fun fact from my research, it actually replaced a bowling alley that was on the site that was not particularly successful. And we can actually see a signed date stamp from the Lake Worth building inspector from May 1946 on the plans there. So just something to note, on the original plans, it is shown with 4 door entrances, and this also carries through to all of the elevations that we see. So this is the original front elevation. You can see those 4 entry doors. We do have that stucco overhang, as well as those 2 end, essentially storefront window features. And we have some very nice decorative tile, plate glass windows, and decorative ironwork on the doors. So just again, comparing to the structure as it exists now, you can see some changes have been made, particularly the door configuration, but we do retain a good amount of the appearance that we see in that original plan. Just going a little bit further into that, so you can see we even have dimensions here for those side storefront features, that if you overlay the survey, actually lines up quite well. So, you know, it's kind of interesting that the original plans, although there are, and I believe the architect will get into it, some discrepancies as far as, you know, what was actually built here. It's fun to see original plans essentially in real life today that are from 1946. So it appears that there was actually some alterations made to the structure in about 1948. I know this blueprint is a little bit difficult to read, so I have a corrected version here that might be a little bit easier. Some items that you can see there. It looks like the doors have been adjusted a bit. They are marked as existing, but they do look a little bit different than on those original plans. We do still have those side storefront features, but they are adding a black Carrara marble, essentially facing on that stucco banding over top. And they're indicating that there is a sign being added with a stucco backing. And this is dated May 17th of 1948. Edgar, and it may be Wortman, but it's certainly not legible enough to be certain that he was the one that made the corrections. So just overlaying those corrected plans over the current one, you can see, again, those 4 door features we have lost, but that overhang is retained. So again, just a quick comparison between the two. And then, so the applicant has actually provided us a historic photo. It's not dated, but just based on an estimation of the ages of the cars, the fact that we know that that black marble facing was added in 1948, it's reasonable to assume that this is probably dated somewhere between 1948 when that change was being made, and somewhere around the 1950s when you'd expect to see, more 1950s era cars popping up on the street. The Geibel's photo finishing next door to this structure operated at 712 Lake Avenue from 1931 to 1973, so that also would be within the time period that we would be expecting. And then I've highlighted in blue there the original window box that we were seeing in those plans is there. And then they have also added another one in the front there, as well as some awnings. So here's that survey that we were referencing before that just shows the shape of the building. You can see that it does actually have a 0 setback there from those front facade features. So the applicant originally came to staff with the request to essentially push the front facade back and remove those side window features. So you can see that in the site plan here, as well as the floor plan. For their business proposal, they are looking to split this into 4 different units, just for usability, additional floor space. It is a very large, essentially commercial storefront that, I think based on available evidence, maybe has had a little bit of a struggle finding tenants that are not antique mall vendors. As much as we love antique mall vendors, at least I personally do, there's only so many of those to go around in the world, and splitting it into 4 does give them the opportunity to hopefully provide a little bit more versatility and flexibility as far as the tenants that can come into the space. And as we saw with the original 4-door configuration, it actually aligns with the original essentially configuration of the structure. So these are the original elevations that they proposed. As you can see, there is a pretty significant depth of setback there that's being added, which creates much more shadow lines. We are losing that essentially tile or brick knee wall feature and those side window displays. So this was something that staff had some concerns about comparing to the demolition elevations as far as what we might be losing in terms of historic material. And again, just for reference, if you'd like to flip between the two, I think you can see kind of the difference in depth there. But the door configuration is an improvement. They are proposing to add some of those original decorative features on the doors that we see in those original plans. So even from the original proposal, it does fit somewhat with bringing this back to the original appearance. After some discussion with the applicant, the department director, and discussing some options as far as design iterations that we could do to essentially incorporate their programmatic interests on the inside while still essentially retaining some or bringing back some architectural features that we've lost. we propose the idea of maybe incorporating knee walls. So you can see those in the second iteration site plan. So those are those features at the front that allows them to push that facade back a bit while still essentially retaining that front area as a storefront. So here's the floor plan where you can again see those entrances as well as those knee wall features that have been added at the front. One thing to note is they are required a 5-foot setback in this area, and those features would have a 0-foot setback. So they are requesting a historic waiver for that. Staff does support that because it does bring them more in line with the historic appearance of the building. So here's an image of the altered proposal of the front elevation. Generally, staff appreciates what the applicant has proposed here as far as replicating some of the original historic appearance. One thing to note, there was some essentially confusion between two different very similar looking storefronts within Lake Worth. And we had essentially proposed a design iteration where the neat walls have kind of that almost curved shape. However, it turns out that is actually a different storefront, and from what we can tell, the original storefront here did only have squared off walls. So one of the conditions of approval would be to change that essentially so that those walls are squared off. And maybe bringing in some elements that we do see in that original photograph, such as the awning, adding some essentially faux tube mullions to replicate the appearance of storefront windows, and just bringing up that knee wall a bit to make it read a little bit more pronounced. But generally, this, as a compromise, staff believes brings us more in line with what would have originally, based on photographic evidence, been a historically significant appearance for this building. So just comparing to the demolition elevation there, you can kind of see the difference. And then the applicant has prepared some renderings where you can see kind of in a more three-dimensional view what that would look like. One thing to note is the essentially storefront windows that they are proposing are operable, which gives them the opportunity to kind of create a more circulatable space, enjoy the South Florida weather, etc. This is something that staff is generally supportive of. You know, it is in line with the original storefront windows, and is generally appropriate once we add those knee wall features in the front. So just flipping through some of the renderings, this is the rendering of the original iteration just for reference, so you can kind of compare the difference between those with the knee wall features added as compared to without. So just to quickly recap that setback waiver, they are requesting a 0-foot front setback. Staff does find that that is appropriate because it's not an increase beyond the depth of the existing roof overhang or those side features that exist currently that would be replicated with knee walls. It will not affect adjacent properties because many of those properties do also have a 0-foot front setback. Is not detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare. And it does restore the visual appearance of a historic feature that's been lost. The applicant is also, because this would be a pretty substantial, essentially increase in improvement value for the structure, is requesting the ad valorem tax exemption. We've gone over the requirements for that a fair amount recently, so I'll just run through this quickly. It is a contributing resource in the Old Town Historic District. We are bringing back a historic feature that originally existed, and it's not being used for nonprofit or governmental purposes, so it does meet all of the criteria for that. And we do have some historic preservation design guidelines for storefronts in our design guidelines that I've highlighted some items that we want to avoid that I believe the applicant is doing in their new iteration a pretty good job of avoiding. So, and you should have also received this as well as some information from the National Park Service, the Secretary of the Interior. They have released several preservation briefs about restoration and essentially improvement of storefronts, because that is something that can be a bit difficult from a historic perspective.
That was super interesting, by the way. Yeah. Good job on that.
I'm glad someone read it because I also found those and I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is a great reference. So some things that we're trying to avoid, removing historic material from the storefront to create a recessed arcade. While we are pushing that current facade back, since we are incorporating those knee walls, we're not necessarily creating a recessed arcade. There would be a little bit of a concern with just, I've seen some other properties that have had this done that are not historic. If you do kind of set back your front facade and say, unfortunately the business doesn't succeed, you can end up with kind of a blank empty space in a commercial storefront area that isn't necessarily the best for just public safety as far as, people shelter underneath it. It can attract, debris. It's just not necessarily the best visual appearance. So that's something we'd like to avoid, but the applicant is successfully avoiding. Changing the location of a storefront's main entrance. The great news is we have documentary evidence that they are actually bringing back a configuration that is original. One of staff's conditions is that those doors are located where they originally were on that floor plan. But that is easily supportable because it is something that we have great evidence that it existed. Some recommended items from our design guidelines: constructing a new storefront with the historic storefront is completely missing may be done when historic pictorial and physical documentation is used. Well, we have both original blueprints and photos of the storefront, which is amazing. The new design is flush with the facade. Secondary design elements such as awnings or signs should be kept as simple as possible. We are recommending adding awnings. That is something that, again, we have in that original documentation. Some things that we're trying to avoid: replacing a storefront with one that does not convey the same visual appearance. This does convey the same visual appearance. Creating a false historical appearance. So suggesting that this is essentially what it would have looked like originally. Well, we know what it looked like originally, or at least when it gained significance. We know what we're bringing it back to. So I think, are covered on that item. So staff is recommending approval of the proposed alterations, the ad valorem tax exemption, and the setback waiver, because this is in keeping with the original design of the building, allows for adaptive reuse, and is incorporating character-defining features that have been removed. And if you approve this request, we do have some conditions of approval that are also included in your staff report. And I'm available for any questions.
Is there any pushback on this?
Is there any pushback?
I believe the applicant is here and would like to speak. We have not received any. We received one public comment in support for
Support?
I don't know if they're all in support. Sherry has just surprised me. But we will read those later.
Okay.
Are you going to be going through the PowerPoint?
I can if you'd like.
I could take a remote or something if it.
We don't have one, so you'll have to direct me.
No, you can't.
It's going to be a little bit back and forth. I hope you don't mind. Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking time tonight to meet with us. My name is Josh Robbins from Robbins Companies. My brother is here, Jared Robbins. He's the principal of In-House Commercial, a real estate brokerage. And then Juan Contin is our design consultant. And next, I think when it comes to historic preservation, it's best to start at the beginning. So here's a picture of what we believe the facade looked like. You could go to the next slide. This is another photo of what we believe the facade looked like back in the 30s or 40s. And then if you go one more, that's a colored photo of what we believe it looked like. There's a lot of ambiguity right now between what is actually our building and what is not. And I'll let Juan get into that ambiguity. But basically, if you go back to the middle photo, the staff and us agree that this is our building, and our building's the one on the far left, the darker one. So if you go over a couple more, one more. So this is the building as it exists today. We believe it was reconfigured this way in the 1980s or early 90s. And if you go three more, one, two, as you could see, there's not much left from how it was in the 40s. 95% of the facade is pushed back, where you could see, at least in the middle photo, really all the photos, it kind of has a jagged facade where it goes to the front setback and then back, then then the front setback and back. There's no awning today, and there were awnings in the past. There's a the faux brick knee wall when back in the day it was tile, and the storefront was reduced from 4 doors to 2 doors. If you go down one more, below is what we are proposing, and I believe it strikes a balance between historic preservation and revitalization. We're maintaining the blue border around the building and the overall scale and massing of the building, but we're also bringing back the 4 Art Deco doors that I think really add a lot of historical significance. We're also recessing the storefront back several more feet, and we're introducing nano doors. I don't know if you could flip back and forth. You could kind of see the doors opening and closing.
Oh, okay.
So that feature, we believe these changes in recessing it back and introducing the nano doors, they're not only desirable, but we think they're necessary, not only for our building, but for Lake Ave in general. The reason we're here today, and I should have started with this, we actually don't own the property. We're under contract to buy the property, and our due diligence period expires in 2 days. So what happens today, it really determines whether we go forward or not. But the reason we're here today and looking to buy the property is that we really see a lot of potential for Lake Avenue to be a vibrant, lively downtown hub. However, today, I think we could all agree that it's a little dilapidated and tired. And revitalizing Lake Avenue starts with really activating the street and public sidewalk. And by creating a fluid, dynamic connection between our indoor spaces and the world outside, we really feel that we accomplish that objective with what we're proposing. And you could go down and keep going. Keep going. It's a few, keep going. This is the Ben Franklin building. I know there's ambiguity whether it's the actual building or not, but we think it aligns very similar, that it's a very similar feel to that. If you go one more, you'll see these are the elevations, and the top is the current elevation, the middle's the original, and the bottom's what we're proposing. And I think we're almost verbatim with what the original's elevation looks like. If we go down one more. And as you can see here, we're keeping the historic feel of the building, but we're also opening it up in a way so that it could meaningfully interact with the street and the sidewalk. So then if you go down, this is what we came up with staff, and kind of summarized it well. But when we gave our initial proposal to them, they said that the changes that we were making were too significant for them to give us a recommendation or an approval at staff level. So we worked collaboratively and came up with this, and we discussed it internally, but unfortunately for a multitude of reasons, the floating knee walls aren't really going to work for us. And I think if you go all the way to the last slide, it might kind of convey why. One more. Yeah, right there. So for starters, as you can see, the knee walls really protrude into the outside area, and it materially and awkwardly cuts off really what we could do there. It also forces us to place the doors in less desirable locations. Like we have the outside doors. I don't know if you remember, we have the outside doors kind of at the edge of the building, and then the interior doors kind of close to each other. And this allows us to have the nano doors really open up the spaces. But when they're right in the middle like that, the nano doors don't really effectively do their job. We think the knee walls also pose a safety and tripping hazard, just because they're right in the middle of the spaces and they're only 1 to 2 feet high. And the solution there is either putting railings on them, which I think we could agree wouldn't look good, or making them really tall, which kind of defeats the purpose of trying to interact with the street and become a vibrant part of it. So while we understand where our staff is coming from, we respectfully disagree with how they're weighing character defining historical features. In our opinion, maintaining the blue border and bringing back the historic doors provides a lot more historic authenticity than trying to attempt to create the historic, I guess, silhouette of the setback. So with that said, I'm not an architect. I can't speak on the really architectural design elements in detail. So I'd like to have Juan come up and discuss those with you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Juan Johnson. I reside at 826 South Federal Highway. I'm an architect. I've been here 22 years in Lake Worth. Served on some boards with some of the people here.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. You know, Lake Worth, they say forever that it's up and coming, and in 22 years, I guess we all feel the same. And I go downtown from time to time and I look at it and say, where is it? Where was Delray? It's like you look at it, I don't want it to sound like Delray, don't get me wrong, it's a little crazy there now. But the amount of real estate that's empty there is odd. We did kind of restaurant recently at 604 Lake Avenue, and it failed miserably due to the size. Okay, the Robbins family, I don't know if you know, people have been to South Beach, and they've been working 25, 30 years in South Beach doing all the historic preservation projects there with numerous clients, whether it be a Haagen-Dazs or a Starbucks or whatever. And these are the kind of people that the companies that we bring in to Lake Worth. I think it's a big deal that Lake Worth is kind of having its moment to have a developer like this come in and, you know, talk to us and try to buy buildings here. So we work with staff that agree with everything, pretty much they said. The one problem is the knee walls in the front, which I know why staff is looking at them to get them in for the line that we have. The last thing that came up when we were doing our code research was, I mean, I think the fire department might be not a problem. So there's an issue at the end that I think that the open concept, they work a whole lot better. Hello. Okay. Yeah, that the open concept may work better. I think they've tried everything. The doors, those doors cost a fortune to make. I mean, it's redoing something that's back, really trying hard to make that facade as much as we can.
Oh, I'm having a hard time hearing you a little bit. Can you pick up the mic or something?
Can you hear me now?
We'll see.
Yeah. Just have to go right up on it. So with it, I think we've tried as hard to get as close and agree with everything on staff, but the thing with the knee walls has become an issue at the end, and for numerous reasons. And I think that's the only thing that we would, if you'd like to look at the 3Ds and also the plans, it really doesn't, it forces, I believe, a couple of things to come into play. Like there might be a fire issue. There's definitely a trip hazard issue, which we would have to add some kind of a rail to at least 30 inches. I think with all of that, it may change the view that we had originally with it. And it was something we'd work together to do, but other than that, everything else is something that we agree with that we're gonna do, so.
Can you put the nano doors on top of a knee wall? No?
No, because the knee wall's out on the street. Yeah.
Well, no, well, you can, but you mean back at the.
You can put operable windows, essentially like a nano wall, over a
Yes.
a low knee wall. I can give you examples where I have seen that successfully done. That is something they could do.
We did have some.
And that
But that would be pushed back on the backside of it. We had a plan that was like that. When we were working through it. This is sketch number 22 or something, right? So we've been through a lot with this. And I believe it's something, look, the 4 units is the right way to go, I believe. I think it's the center of downtown, and I think it's gonna give a lot of vibrancy to it, so.
So
Yes.
what's the depth of the front wall from the street?
The depth at the moment is, I believe we had it at 10 feet.
10 feet existing or 10 feet proposed?
It's,
Existing
it was
4 feet something. but-
existing is 4'11".
close to 5.
Okay, so you want to push it back another 5 feet?
Another 5 feet, yeah, to engage more with the street, because if you're gonna have people dining,
Yeah.
if you have a restaurant, it makes a better connection with the sidewalk.
Can we go back to the slide where it just shows the 2 3D views
Yeah.
next to each other? Okay, that's the one, this is what you're proposing.
Yes.
And then, but there was one where like now the historic, you had one with the historic view next to it? Did you have that? I think you did.
Yes.
Yeah, this is interesting.
So I just want to be clear, and again, we informed the applicant of this, that left historic reference is not actually this building. That is in the 800 block of Lake Avenue. So please disregard that particular building. That's why it was not included in your packet. That building, based on our research, would have been next to 818 Lake Avenue. So it looks very similar. I can understand the confusion, but that is not actually the subject building.
I think we learned that, like, I think 2 years ago or something.
We learned about it 10 days today.
Yeah.
Are the nano doors gonna open everything then?
Sort of. The French doors will be separate, and the nano wall will be another separate thing, so they could work independently or they could work together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could go back, could we go back to the one that we agree is the historic picture?
There you go.
Oh, that was good.
That one, okay. So if
Wow.
you look at that, actually, the knee wall it doesn't really exist as far out, and it's nowhere, I mean, it is a little higher at that point. So it's weird because it's changed over time. The original plan is different in size, and the original plan is a little different from this. And so that's where the ambiguity came, which historic do we pick and which part of it do we pick? And that's.
I'm sort of having a problem with the corner. I mean, that awning, I agreed this is the historic picture, but that awning on the corner looks ridiculous.
Well, we're not voting on that.
The thing about the nano doors, though, I mean, they're elegant and I see how you would use them, but to me, that makes it look really contemporary. Really super contemporary.
Well, I think that the original plan, if you go to the blueprint, see the blueprint, I think the blueprint was done in a sort of contemporary look at it.
It is contemporary. Yeah, I mean, it was contemporary for the time, modern or
We're giving
whatever.
you the doors, we're giving you the glass, the rest of it is all there. So we're going back to match.
So you want people to walk in and out where the knee wall is now?
We want people to have a nice lunch and react with the outside of the street and then go in and out of there. And
So basically you want an eateries, tables on the outside.
Yes.
And enough room. So that's why you want to push it back another 5 feet.
Yes, sir.
But that's what, let's stick to that, let's stick to that.
Okay.
And I mean, I get it.
Mhm.
And I think what you're doing here is fabulous.
Mhm.
But you know, whereas the banana doors, you want to create an eatery space so people can intertwine with the traffic going by.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, the applicant could apply for a sidewalk cafe permit that would allow them to put tables within the right of way. That is something that we do offer.
How much room would they have if they don't push back? Well, how much room would they have?
Well, they have a 5-foot depth right now, which is more than most other buildings in that area, as well as they could extend into the right of way with that permit.
Say the north side of Lake Avenue.
Thank you. Can you say your name again?
Sorry, I'm Jared Robbins. I'm Josh's brother. I was gonna say some words. Is now a good time? Okay. I was just on that point. The north side of Lake Avenue is actually a lot thinner than the south side. So Lilo's, everyone knows, has a huge outdoor, and you won't see restaurants. Maybe one table can fit on the north side. But I'll say just a few words. First of all, I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much. I'm Josh's brother and Scott's son. I just want to say really quickly about our family. You know, my father built his career creating neighborhoods in South Florida, specifically in Miami. And something interesting is we actually, in our, portfolio today, a lot of it's historic. We have about 20, 30 tenants. I don't think we have one national tenant. We're very big on mom and pops, regional groups. We don't have any, tenants with probably more than 3 or 4 or 5 locations. And I myself, from college, the first job I had was doing retail leasing, and I've done that ever since. It's been about 10 years. I have my own company. All we do is retail. We don't do office. We don't do residential. So I'm coming to this with a lot of perspective. I'll be the one, hopefully, if we end up purchasing this, being the one leasing it, showing it, walking the street. And I just want to say retail is difficult these days. It's not the same as it used to be. You don't just hang a sign up and field calls. You have to be very proactive, and tenants are very picky. And if you want the best in class retailers, which I think we all want for Lake Avenue, you really need to have perfect spaces. And even one slight thing can turn a tenant off and they're gone. When we first came to Lake Avenue, we fell in love with it. We thought the charm was amazing. The people are amazing. The energy, the programming, the restaurants are great. I think we've literally eaten at a different restaurant every time we come up here. Besides Dave's Last Resort, we went for the second time today because they have the best fish dip. But besides that, we really try to understand it and ingrain ourselves in it. And we noticed that there's a lot of restaurants. Some do good, some do bad. The ones that do well are the fresher, more high quality. Oceano, Vincent's Bakery, right? The not necessarily higher price point. I don't think that's what we want to bring here, but just fresher and just more energetic and cleaner, to be honest. So those restaurants do really well. We want to bring more of that here. We did an analysis of the whole stretch on Lake Avenue from Federal to Dixie. There's about 74 retail spaces and about 20% are available. So that's a significant number. And our reasoning for why is twofold. One, a lot of the vacancies are really large spaces. So there's, a space, for example, off of Dixie, South Side, 2 doors in, that's just massive. I guarantee that space will be, vacant for a long time until it gets split up. And
we're gonna keep with you tonight.
Yeah,
we're gonna keep it with you tonight. We get it.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
so anyways, to all in all, I think, what our original design is really important to us, and making any change to that, to be honest, will make my job really difficult. So that's all. Thank you, guys.
Understand.
I'm, generally speaking, very supportive of this project, and I wanted to see if there's a way that we can work, that Mr. Compton can work with staff about this knee wall issue to see if we can get some kind of a compromise or something like that, because I think otherwise it's fantastic. I don't know if historically, I don't know, I'd have to take a look or think about, historically appropriate planters, maybe, some huge kind of planters to kind of break up the, the sidewalk and give it some more visual appeal or something like that. But I mean, otherwise it's fantastic. And I think that we just, if just can overcome that one issue, I think it's going to be great for our city.
I think that's kind of what the knee wall was intended to be as a compromise, was something along to that effect.
That give them the room. Yes, marketing and presentation, and when you're trying to lease a piece of property, that little space of
if you go to
eatery on 5 foot back, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so
I'll be honest, having any sort of knee wall, retail right now is very fragile. Any sort of knee wall, people can't walk in and out and have a flow, sort of like what you said.
Right.
It creates a challenge. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Then you got people sitting on it. You got people. Then you got people that you don't want there, sleeping. Thank you.
The only way you're going to have people coming in and out would be a restaurant, wouldn't you?
Well,
no.
even a bar, there's a
Or
bar
bar.
shop we're talking to that has a cafe component. Get a coffee, get your haircut. There's also fitness studios. We think you guys need a lot more fitness, bring people during the day. What are you suggesting? No, you all look great, but there's only, there's a Pilates studio and there's a gym that's a bit tired. There's a lot of really unique fitness groups who like, for example, to have wide open so that it feels like you're indoor, outdoor while you're working out. So just to reiterate, I really think even with our first option, it's gonna still be a big challenge. So doing anything.
Can we go back to the slide that shows the with the knee walls out and by the sidewalk? So
As you're flipping,
I want to reiterate to the board, just that, essentially, again, what you're reviewing this application on is not programmatic. It's not the tenants that might be brought into here. It is, as always, on the criteria in your staff report, design compatibility, historic compatibility, and the compatibility with the original architectural features. So as much as, again, as mentioned, really appreciate the idea of bringing retail, that is not what is under discussion.
Right. I think, I'll speak for myself, I certainly understand that. I think the issue is, ingress and egress, to have, space that people can approach and not see obstacles, potential visual obstacles to, entering or exiting. I think that's really what we're talking about. And then how does that historically fit into, is there something that staff can find some kind of, besides knee walls?
compromise.
Something else the staff can propose, or Mr. Cotton can propose to not have these artificial barriers. I mean, again, barriers.
The knee walls are kind of a compromise to allow the pushing back of the front facade. I think the other alternative would be to keep the facade as is in its location. Then maybe we could discuss, knee walls essentially as existing, in its current configuration that are operable. Maybe you don't have the, internal circulation through those because there is essentially a piece blocking the windows open. You still get the air circulation, but you still do have these 4 doors that people can come in and out of. I think those would be probably the alternative that would be historically appropriate, besides, again, incorporating these features that we can show from historic evidence existed.
So can you eliminate the knee wall? Just so you can have.
Yeah, instead of knee,
we can do it.
you put the awning, you're
That's within
giving
your
something
purview
up.
to, if you disagree with the staff recommendation for the knee wall, the board has the authority to approve an alternate configuration.
The knee walls were brought up because we didn't want to have the large arcade, the large overhang.
Essentially, yes. The knee walls were brought up because we have historic evidence of them.
I don't see that.
No, they were part of the building though, so it's in a different.
Having a wall with having a knee wall and then a display case with glass on top is.
So functionally, the issue is pushing back the front facade. Without those knee walls, you're pushing back the front facade and essentially destroying all of the historic integrity of the building and not replacing something that was originally existing.
Okay, well, I want to move, if I could.
Okay.
I move to approve with conditions. Instead of the knee walls, you just put the awnings back. That's historical, and that'll lend to a charm that we want to preserve. And I think that's a great compromise.
Thanks so.
Yeah. Good. I accept that. We do like to compromise, and I think that there's a great way to do the awnings, not just, look at staff obviously to get it going.
All right.
Yeah.
Make a motion.
Make a motion.
All right. So I move to approve.
I'm sorry, hold
No,
one moment.
You can't make a motion yet. We haven't gone through public comment. You haven't gone into executive session. We have a process that you have to go through before you
I
do
talked
this.
so long that we were ready.
Save your motion.
Um,
Do we have any more comments from the board?
Question
Yeah.
for the applicant. Keeping the 5 foot and not having a knee wall, that you think that the 10-foot back, you think that the proposed 10-foot back with no knee wall is the most attractive retail space to rent out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even more so than having more square footage?
Yeah, so that's obviously something that we weighed, like having rentable square footage versus, and we wouldn't want to give up square footage unless we felt like it was really important. In this case, we feel like it's really important. It's not conveyed well here, but the sidewalk on the north side of Lake Ave is incredibly narrow. There's not really room for any seats, and then like I think we only have like 4 feet setback now, which doesn't really lend itself to any seating. So it was a tough decision. We don't want to give up rentable square footage. So we did this we did this out of necessity more than out of want. So yeah, this is probably the best use of the facade, the best configuration of the facade.
One of the other components that is, I'll say, at odds with the two different versions is the location of the doors. So one of the conditions of approval, as stated in your staff report, is that the 4 new door openings would be spaced to correspond with the door openings on the original blueprinted plans, which is what's shown here with the knee walls. And what is being, the other proposal has them spaced differently. So you all need to weigh in on that as well.
Yeah, if you could just go back to that. And I think I mentioned it before. It's just we need to space the doors out that way, and it's only a few feet, but we need to do it in order for the nano doors to really work and have the effect of opening up each space.
So you're gonna put hurricane, you're gonna be hurricane rate.
Absolutely.
Okay. Right. In the record.
I mean, when I look at this, I'm not crazy about some of the, the knee walls don't do much for me, and and I look at those boxed out corners there, and that just looks really peculiar to me, and I'm not liking it.
Well, that's consistent with the original.
Well, it's not, because they had a window underneath, and now it's just sort of hanging out in space.
They got awning.
What?
They're gonna have awning.
I think they could have a very nice one.
I concur.
So you're saying leave off those boxes and just put an awning?
I'd rather not see that. I'd rather see an awning that went all the way across.
Right, exactly.
The awning is, they have a
It'd
roof.
be more.
There was a historic photo where they had the awning run across the entire, one of the photos had the awning run across, no, not this one. This has the sort of ridiculous tiny awning.
One of the other buildings?
In the corner.
Yeah, so again, that's a different building.
There was one where the awning just went all the way across and it looked good. It was.
Well, that may or may not be this building.
No.
It is not this building. I can tell you.
What,
it is not this building.
What about the bottom right is not this building?
No, that
Oh, I see.
in that photo, the Freeman Shoe Center, that's marked as 818 Lake Avenue. So there's no possible way that that's this building. Only the center historic reference photos.
The Mike Pence Co.
Also,
Well, it's all similar awning.
They all look identical.
Yeah.
They're just,
Okay.
Maybe that's why the weird
just
window
makes
was there,
more
but it didn't
sense.
go all the way across.
So,
Yeah.
the
they couldn't continue in that awning with that boxed out corner window.
the overhang comes to the property line, which is the beginning of the sidewalk, the right of way. Can they put an overhang over the sidewalk? An
yes.
awning?
So an awning is allowed to extend 3 feet. Now, because Lake Avenue is a FDOT right-of-way, they will need a right-of-way permit from FDOT. They'll need to coordinate with them, but our code does allow that awning to encroach.
It's a lot of work to get 3 feet for an awning when you've already got a roof.
Right.
Still take that over the knee walls.
Move on.
I'm in.
What else we need to do?
What else we gotta do? Come on.
What about the rest of these? What about the rest of these conditions? Have you read them? And
Yeah, I did, and I just wanted to go through them with you.
Actually, real quick on the recommendations, the ceiling fans that are recommended under a condition, is that a requirement?
That's just a recommendation from our director.
Because, I mean, it's a great idea, but I don't want to.
That's why it's a recommendation.
They can have ceiling.
They can or they cannot. It's up to them.
That's fine. That's fine.
so they're having a problem with number 7. And what other? Can you go through the list with us?
I think we're very in line with number 7.
Okay,
Really?
Yeah, that's good.
So it does not need door opening space or corresponding to You're talking about number 7, the 4 new door openings shall be
Yeah.
spaced to corresponding door openings,
She said they weren't exactly in the same place.
Not exact.
To just be clear about everything, that plan and even the columns do not match the original plan. So the whole structure of the building is slightly off, and we've adjusted to it just slightly. So if you put them exactly where they were, you'd probably crash into a little bit of a column or something there. So one of the bays is smaller and one of the bays is bigger. If you look at the plan, it's bringing up the plan,
Can you make it hurricane rated?
100%.
Okay, well,
We said that.
Oh, they're gonna make it hurricane rated.
It'll be all hurricane. That won't be an issue. That'll be part of the prerequisite.
Right.
Yeah.
So we know you got to finagle a little bit
Uh-huh.
to make it work.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we're doing.
So you don't have to, we don't have to beat it up.
No.
Okay, that'd be good.
I think having the 4 entrance doors outweighs having them exactly in the original
Exactly.
spot.
Yeah,
Because
Agreed.
you're,
for clarity purposes, we don't agree with number 7. We would like the doors how we originally proposed it.
Well, I mean, I thought you expressed that there was an issue with the Nana wall as opposed to the
Correct.
door location, and you didn't want to split it with the door.
Correct. So yeah, we do take exception with number, just for clarity purposes, we take exception with number 7.
so
What
I believe-
other conditions?
What are the conditions that
Do
you
they
can
have
send?
to-
Yes, ma'am.
On one, the historic waiver to allow a knee wall, feature, which was just spoken about, right?
We've been discussing that, right?
All right, anything else?
Trade it out for the overhang, anything, okay?
the 3.
In all windows and doors, this is number 11, shall be installed recessed, in the jambs.
Speaking to the mic, I can't hear you.
Flush to the exterior, and we're okay with that because.
We're okay with
we're
that.
gonna have depth to our windows, so.
Raising shelving.
Wait, so they have to have an awning anyway. That was condition 6.
That's in here, yeah, there's a condition. It's 6, yeah.
Either true or
Mhm.
not. Either replica or not, we'd like to.
Okay, so you would be okay with your
Yeah.
5-foot setback to your entrance and your 3-foot awning?
I thought it would be a 10-foot setback.
No, we hadn't.
5 foot.
Is it?
Well, it's currently 5 foot.
Including the 5 you have now, plus the 5. makes
Plus the
it-
5, right, exactly, yes. that
5
is right.
additional. Okay. So the only
So
conditions,
just for clarification, their recessed
Yes,
doors are, I think, 9 feet 9 inches on the plan.
on the plans.
And
That might be due to a structural, limitation.
9
that
foot
we
9,
have.
yeah.
The 9 inches.
Approximately
Yeah,
10
because we
feet.
need to lock in with the structure. If you see it, it's on one of the plans you'll see on the 3Ds where the columns come right out.
I thought you had mentioned that you would trade having an awning for not recessing the doors more.
No, for not having the.
He wants the knee wall. You're trading the knee wall for the awning.
Okay,
Yeah.
Made an E-roll on, yes.
So I'm
No.
there anyway, yeah.
you're getting the awning either way.
no, but if we're gonna have a notion, a motion here, so we would need to exclude condition number 1 and condition number 7.
And condition number 4.
We should go through all of them. 'Cause we're-
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's be clear.
Yeah, I like to just go through all of them. Number 1, we take exception to because of the knee walls. Number 2, we're fine with. Number 3, I just want clarification, just because I feel like with the nano doors, it kind of creates mullions. I want to.
No, so that would be with the knee wall. That's struck if we're not doing the knee wall.
So then, yeah, we take exception to number 3 as well. 4 is knee wall. Also, we take exception to. We're anticipating putting fans in, but we ultimately might leave it up to our tenants if
Yeah, I
if
wouldn't
they
want to
want.
require it.
Yeah, thank you. A truer BOA awning,
That's
we
it,
would
right?
take exception to, but if we could trade it out for a knee wall, we'd gladly accept.
Oh, you don't necessarily want an awning.
We want what we proposed, but if we could get rid
I
of the knee wall for an awning, we would do that.
You're gonna trade out the knee wall for the awning.
Correct.
Okay, I'll be clear.
6 times.
We are clear.
Okay.
We are clear.
Okay.
Please.
Number 7, we take exception to. We need the door spacings the way we have them. Number 8, we're fine with. Number 9, we're fine with. Number 10, we're fine with. And then number 11, we're fine with.
Okay.
And then I had one more ask, never mind.
No,
It's not really, it's not really a condition. I just wanted, I wanted a little flexibility with how far we set the, we recess the facade. Just because, like you mentioned before with the rentable square footage, like it's kind of a game, like how much rentable square footage do you want to give up?
Well, it's on your plan though, so if we approve it, that's your plan.
Well, there's one other, like, if you go to the rendering, our original rendering. Yeah, I agree. You'll see, right, can you go one down? One up? So you could see it there. There's three kind of columns right in the middle.
Yeah.
We were playing with pushing the facade up so we get rid of those columns, but ultimately we decided we'd rather the outdoor space. So we would like flexibility to move the facade up to hide those columns.
Move it forward.
Yeah. Move it forward.
So
the street.
now we'd be talking 8 feet back from the street.
Correct.
Somewhere in there, somewhere between 5 and 10.
Correct.
I think that's
If that's an option, staff's opinion is they should keep it as close to the street as possible.
I think we're gonna go with staff on this one.
All right, good. I agree with.
So you need to have it where the columns are, and you'll need to work with staff to provide.
We would like the option.
No. We're not doing option.
So then we're fine. We'll leave it at 10.
Leave it at 10. Thank
you. Okay, you'll leave it as shown. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, do we still have a motion? Are
Did
we all?
We have public comment, Mr. Chair. We have public comment.
The mayor.
Oh, boy.
Oh, but
10:30 last night.
Oh.
I didn't think I'd be here till 9 o'clock.
And we're only on our.
State your name. Yeah, pretty good at that. Betty Resch, 207 South L Street.
Set the timer.
Ooh, ouch, we're getting nasty. Okay, I've met with these folks a couple times, and I've lived here full time since 1979. Here are one of the complaints that we have is how many empty storefronts there are downtown. We've got to get people downtown. Here we have a group from Miami who knows what they're doing, who has the wherewithal to do what they're doing, who understands small retail, who has a history of doing this, looking to purchase one of the largest shops on Lake Avenue and make it into something it's been empty for about 15 years. I mean, I used to go to the antique malls. It was fun. We had all kinds of antique malls downtown, right?
Yeah.
That's over. So, I mean, if I with all due respect, sorry. It's on the other side of this podium. And they need wall. I mean, let's let it go.
Yeah.
They want to open up this place. They want an airy place to go back and forth.
I'm
They're
open
willing
to
to
you.
put the money into it. The Samaglias are dying to sell them. They have been really good landowners in our downtown for a very long time. So I would ask that you accept what they're offering. Let's get this. I mean, we got to get Lake Avenue, generated. We got to generate some buzz on Lake Avenue. And this will be it's right across from the theater. It's a perfect spot. So I would ask that you just let them do the glass doors that they want to do. Forget the knee wall. And let these folks start working on Lake Worth Beach. So, and it's been empty for so long. So I would ask that you approve this the way they want to do it. Let them do it. It's their money. They're taking the risk. Thank you. And I'm going to go home.
All right.
Thank you.
Read about it in the paper.
Can I speak?
Thank you, man.
I have another
so-
comment, but we're trying to get the
Okay,
motion.
I know.
Here.
I think this is fantastic. I love it. I would be inclined to give them everything they asked for. Let them put the front wall somewhere between 6 and 10 foot. Be based on structural needs.
We already.
I think we want to be specific though.
Yeah.
We don't
No,
want
we're not-
We need to be
But it's not
specific.
in writing, not on writing, if it's not written, it's not.
Okay.
safe. We let it.
I actually had questions about the tax exemption.
Oh.
Well, ask.
You're not
They're-
going to agree with what I have to say, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
They're buying this building for X amount of dollars. Because this applicant is the purchaser. They're gonna spend X amount of dollars on a renovation. That's both a commercial renovation and a historic facade rebuild, what's tax exempt on that?
So the way the ad valorem tax exemption works is it essentially, when you do a eligible project, apply for it, get it approved by the board, go through construction, go through post-construction, the whole 9 yards, go to city commission, get a resolution. It exempts the increase in improvement value. So essentially, when they do those improvements, they put a dollar value amount on how much they spent to do those improvements. Obviously, they will dump a lot of money into this, and the Palm Beach County tax appraiser will come out and say, we would like our tax money. You have put in, let's say, I'm pulling a number out of thin air, $100,000 into this. So we're increasing your taxes X amount. What you would be approving would be a 10-year exemption from that increase in improvement value. So it would essentially, this is a little bit of a simplification because there are a couple taxes that it doesn't exempt, but it, for all intents and purposes, it freezes their taxes
10 years.
at the point for a period of 10 years at the amount that it was prior to them doing the improvements. And then in 10 years, those essentially new taxable value goes into effect. So they will see an increase in 10 years. It carries with the property. If they were to sell it off, someone else would assume it. It doesn't go away if you sell. But at that 10-year period, it expires and can't be extended.
We're not voting on
Does
this
it-
though, are we?
Yes.
Yes.
Does it still reset with the sale?
No, it doesn't reset with sale.
No, with this, their taxes currently, because they'd be buying it, that would reset the assessed value.
So it would not go into effect until, essentially the way that it works is they do the improvements. They've made their pre-construction application at the moment. They'll need to come back to you to essentially have you say, yes, this is what you represented. We agree with your post-construction approval. And at that point, it would go to city commission. A resolution would be passed by the city saying we agree with the work that they've done, and it's forwarded on to Palm Beach County. Now, there's a specific review cycle that goes through. So, it would depend on essentially when they finished construction. I can't give an exact date, but say if they finished in October, and we were able to process this by end of year is usually how it works. Palm Beach County needs these exemptions in by beginning of the year because they start doing their work by March. So essentially, the date that it would go onto their taxes is predicated on when they finish the work, when we approve and city commission approves, and that information is forwarded on to Palm Beach County. Yes, they need CO before they can come back to you for post-construction approval. So in short, the approval that you're making does not go into effect until these renovations are complete, which cannot happen until they've acquired the property.
Like it says here under, under number 2, they should submit for post-construction approval by the Historic Resources Preservation Board in a timely manner. That'll come before us post-construction.
Once they have a CO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're the CO, right?
The exemption would be for the entire improvement, or do we separate them, dividing the space into 4 units and what they're doing to the facade?
It would be for the entire improvement, as assessed by the Palm Beach County
The
tax appraiser.
Would assess 4 units per unit.
So the entire renovation, including any other work they do. Okay.
Whatever they list as being involved in this particular project and the
That would
value
have to be
that
this project, if, when the tenant improvement comes later, that wouldn't be under that.
No, and I would think that probably wouldn't increase their improvement value. And I mean, it depends on what they were to do. I don't think that would increase their improvement value substantially in the way that something like the work that they're proposing to do would. So really, this is what the tax exemption would be valuable for. Interior improvements might not increase their improvement value in the same way that, large structural changes and things like that do.
Sherry had more. So you have something to read, didn't you? Yeah. Please.
Oh.
Please read.
We gotta really move along, guys. Come on.
Please read.
I think we're gonna have another.
Can we provide them to the board just to read at their own leisure? Do we have to read?
I only have one set. I need to read them. And I can speed read, so. Okay, so the first is from Bill Feldkamp. He said he's reviewed the submitted drawings for the above mentioned project and consulted the original 1998 National Register documentation for the Downtown Historic District. And the document consistently describes these Lake Avenue buildings as altered and not individually important, but that as a whole, they contribute to the district. He says the contemplated renovations are consistent with the intent of the National Register nomination, and he recommends the board approve the application as presented. Now, he came along this morning and said that he has the understanding that city staff has recommended an unwanted alternate front elevation for the proposed project at 716 Lake. Since specific glazing configurations should have no impact on the HRPB on the board's decision regarding this undistinguished facade, I urge the board to allow the applicants to pursue their desired alternate. This applicant needs every encouragement in bringing additional retail tenants to our downtown. The next one is from Paul Weimer, 406 Lucerne Avenue. Sent to the architect of record. I understand that you may be involved with the proposed redevelopment of 716 Lake Ave. I've seen the plans and I'm writing to express strong support for the project. The property's been a vacant eyesore and a blight on the neighborhood for a very long time. And he understands that from speaking to reputable local real estate brokers, the main issue has been that the space as currently configured is simply too large. It would be much more marketable and usable if it were divided into smaller rentable spaces. At any rate, as a nearby property owner, I would love to see that long vacant property finally revitalized along the lines of what I see in the proposal. David Kislin is a local real estate developer and owns several properties in the area, including the surface lot on 601 and 607 Lucerne. He follows the events of downtown very closely. Juan has worked on several of his projects, and he thinks this project and the new owners will be a great addition to the city and downtown. This building at 716 Lake Ave is badly in need of restoration and repair, and there are very few new and updated spaces in downtown. I hope the historic board will look favorably on this and on the first round and approve as soon as possible to allow the project to start. And the last one comes from Angelo Romano, proprietor and chef at Paradiso. He's writing in support of the application for the renovation of 716 Lake Avenue. The plan put forth by Scott Robbins Company Realty and Conton Architects is a fresh, clean renovation for a building that has been defunct for many years and added to the decline in business activity in downtown Lake Worth. The plan has a great connection to the dining and retail experience that Lake Worth Beach needs, which can be brought here by a company that has a solid record in Miami Beach, which is the most vibrant historic district in the state of Florida. I've been a business owner in Lake Worth Beach downtown district for 24 years and have not seen a concept design that makes more sense than this one while being in sync with the historic backdrop of Lake Ave. This real estate firm has also proven development record with a long list of tenants that are in the most vibrant towns in Florida. I do hope the historic board will give the project a fair shot as it will improve the entire community of Lake Worth Beach. It's a great project. That's it.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, please.
Go, Michelle.
Thank you.
Okay.
I move to approve HRPB project number 26-001-00056 with the conditions to strike number 1, number 3, number 4, and number 7.
Good. Second it.
Hold on.
I believe I have to also include, maybe, I'm not sure if I have to include this part, but for a certificate of appropriateness for ad valorem pre-construction approval of front facade alterations and 1 historic waiver for the minimum requirement front setback at 716 Lake Avenue based on the competent substantial evidence in the staff report and pursuant to the City of Lake Worth Beach land development regulations and historic preservation requirements.
And the testimony provided at the hearing.
Yes.
And the testimony provided at the hearing.
What about number 6?
The
The awning.
6 is in there.
It's already there.
Yeah. Can I,
They're
can I,
keeping on.
can a point of clarification? What's happening with 7? I understand that. So is there a proposal to the counter proposal on that? I just want to be clear because we've gone back and forth on that.
No, I appreciate it.
Just say keep 4 openings.
Yeah, keep 4 up, but we want to put the doors where we originally proposed them.
Not on the original blueprint.
Not on
plan.
the original blueprint.
Okay.
On our.
Okay.
Second.
Aye.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously passes.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be very brief, I promise.
I'll be
I'll be very brief, I promise, I promise.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Wait. Nope. We're not to board member comments yet. Sorry.
Oh.
We have to do planning issues.
Planning issues.
Yeah. So I know we have talked about this ad nauseum. We should. Watch me have to eat my words on this. Oh, you'd like to appoint?
Oh, no.
No. No, the special meeting that we've been
Oh, that was.
on and on and on
Yeah.
about. We are looking at the, sorry, let me pull up my calendar. 29th.
Changed?
Yes, 29th of April.
Oh, so not next week.
So not next week, yes.
Okay.
We
That's
are,
the long meeting.
Has the
special meeting for,
application been submitted?
what meeting are we talking about?
For the garage.
For the garage.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, but nobody said.
so the neighborhood meeting will be next Monday. Notices have gone out for that. We do have a submittal. The garage, yeah.
The garage.
So we have a meeting next month. What?
No, you don't have a meeting,
That's
so
fine.
we're required to hold a, well, sorry, what was that?
I beg your pardon, I apologize. This one at Compass,
We're having a meeting.
where is it being held?
Where's the meeting being held?
Yes, I believe it's at Compass. It is the next Monday, 6 to 9 p.m. Details are on the city website. I suppose as members of the public, you could come out and find out information about the project. I would strongly encourage you to keep your minds open because you should only be voting on what you hear at the hearing for the special meeting that we have.
If you go to the meeting on Monday, you will need to disclose it.
So maybe best that you don't, but we're not telling you not to.
Best that we don't. Thank you. Okay.
Pending that, we will be hopefully sending out notices next week for the 29th. That will be when we will 100% be date certain, but as far as I'm aware, that is the plan. That has not changed in the last couple meetings that we've had, so I am noticing you, and I really do sincerely apologize about the continual changes in schedule. It's been a lot of internal coordination as far
It's
as
a big project.
scheduling things and
That's at
making
6
sure that we're on the right time.
April 29th.
Yes, 6 o'clock, April 29th. If that changes, we will reach out to you, but please keep that date open at the moment. Two other planning issues pursuant to the conversation we had earlier about notice for demolitions that are in flood zones. We did have demolition applications for 524 and 530 South Lakeside Drive. Those are in a coastal flood hazard zone and are non-contributing structures. So you do not get to see a COA for those, unfortunately. No, I believe they're concrete block.
Gotta make sure they don't.
You will see whatever eventually, hopefully gets, yes, they're non-contributing structures. They are in a coastal flood zone. Therefore, they are eligible for demolition without board approval, but you do get notice. And
What's
if
the
it's
address again?
524 and 530 South Lakeside Drive. And if the new construction comes in, you will be reviewing it. So I'm sure at some point you'll be hearing about that. For new construction, no, there has not been any new construction plan submitted, just the demolition.
So in the past, you had some kind of plan submitted before you did demo. Something you did, sure what they gonna put.
Yes, so again, If this was not in a coastal flood zone, that would be the usual procedure. Because it is in that zone, because we cannot require a COA, you will not be seeing the demolition application. We're just letting you know it's happening.
And we appreciate that.
It's late. I mean,
Okay.
I'm gonna shut it down, right?
And that is all on my end. We have no other planning issues or comments. I don't believe we have any members of the public. I don't believe we have any department reports. Board member comments.
Yes. Be very quick.
Oh, so.
211, we had a meeting, we discussed the ordinance 2026-02, and that was brought back to the commission for the first reading on 317. I don't think that you accurately conveyed our comments. And I think you did a good job and got most of them right, and I went back and watched our discussion. Still not a great definition of mural. I don't know what a design is. If it strikes as a design, I can give you an example. 407 South Dixie is not my neighbor. Is that a mural? Line 52, you added fence. Is that making it more restrictive? Because I was told that before fences were not, you could do whatever you wanted for a fence.
This is not my ordinance. Scott, Lauren, I don't know if that's something you can address.
Just wanna.
Maybe we
can
Oh, the guy that left, that was his.
Nope.
Oh, let me see. No, don't check.
I'll just give you my
familiar
comments.
with it, but if you could just give the comments, I don't have it with
That's
us.
fine, that's
so-
fine, that's fine.
We'll give you this next
I'll
meeting.
give you my comments.
It's going back to the commission, so it's not coming back to you
Yeah,
all.
I know. I just want to make sure that what we talked about on our meeting gets conveyed to the commission. So it looks like you added into that ordinance, which I know is going back to the commission again anyway. Fences, I don't want to make it more restrictive. I want to make it less restrictive. You also said that we want to exclude the mural from applying to single family zoning or single family, two family. We wanted, residential properties. Because there are some residential properties that are zoned not, and there are some commercial properties in residential zoning areas.
Right, we didn't want.
So I'm residential properties, not zoning districts.
For clarification, are you reading like our staff report from what comments that you provided, or are you reading from the revised ordinance
The
language?
revised ordinance.
Okay.
So I think what I would recommend is emailing Scott and I your comments on the proposed ordinance.
Okay.
And we'll get together, we'll listen to the meeting, we'll talk to the director and see what the best way is to move forward. Right now, we're between first and second reading. It's in the commission's hands at this point.
Well, it's going to go back to first reading, but as Lauren, yeah, and we'd be happy to take a look at your comments again. I was just confused because I thought it sounded like you were talking about you're trying to address, new revised language per city commission direction. So it's got to go back to first reading.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to be quick.
Some of those, yeah, that's all right. Some of those comments were.
Yeah, so, send us an email on your comments on the ordinance. Was not our intention to not.
I know it wasn't, and I don't think it was.
There was a lot going on in that meeting.
Yes, there was.
So send us your comments. We'll take a look at it. If we need to call you for clarification,
Perfect.
we can schedule a time to do so.
That's it.
I like to say something, and I'll make it quick. No, tonight's meeting about the 1130 property tonight. This is only the tip of the iceberg. I think we should have all the information. And I know you say it's not our responsibility, but it is our responsibility. The only reason you didn't see this chamber really packed tonight because of the rain. I'm telling you, as a board, any place else, Delray, Boynton, West Palm, go to their meetings. They have a full set of paving and draining plans. Now that we're moving, like you got two more coming online, 10 feet elevation. People should know what they're looking at. People should know what the recommendation of the city is going to be to make them keep the water on their property. Just saying, we're gonna do a exfiltration trench, that's not good anymore. If you go down to Boynton, excuse me, if you go down to Boynton and you go down to Delray, you go down on those intercoastal property, these people are putting in $100,000 wares to keep that water on their property, so it won't interfere with the neighbor next door. And when it gets to the street, they got another system catching that water so it don't hit the road. So, you know, we're falling a little bit behind. We have to catch up. Times are changing. 10 feet elevation, it might be 12 feet next year. You know what I mean?
So just to clarify,
We need that
I can't
workshop.
speak.
We need
Yes,
that.
we will schedule a workshop. I can't speak for Delray. I can't speak for Boynton.
We need to get with the times.
As city staff previously for West Palm Beach, having reviewed similar properties on the intercoastal, they do not review drainage plans. They do not review any civil plans as far as flood control.
What I'm telling you.
That is typical for historic.
I can also tell you my experience from a community where they did require final engineering approval prior to historic preservation approval, which could affect the site plan. You're asking people to spend a lot of money for final engineering approval before they even know that their plans are acceptable to a
Let me tell you
board
this.
with a discretionary action.
Let me tell you this. If they're gonna build a $10 million house or a $5 million house, get an engineer to draw up give them a $10,000 bill more to draw those plans up is a drop in the bucket. So we're not talking about a whole lot of money, and they can afford to do it because they're building on the intercoastal. It don't hold water
It's
down.
just a lot of time as well.
We're here for this
A lot
time.
of time.
Take the time and do the work right.
These are the feedback we received about the development review process, the number one.
And then they don't
is
build.
the length.
Okay, I think we can discuss this as we discussed hopefully we're scheduling a workshop soon. We can address all of these items at that time.
They're building a $10 million house. You're talking $10,000 for the double plan. It's a drop in the bucket.
So maybe at the next meeting, if you all could actually provide us with items that you think would be valuable to discuss at a workshop, I think that would be something that we could probably start collecting, because I know we're planning to schedule this at some point.
Could we just bring it on a piece of paper or can we email you? Or?
Oh, we should email them ahead of time. That way.
If we're talking about scheduling a future.
Yes.
If you email staff and a list of things that you would like to discuss, or you bring it up under comments at the next meeting, we'll take those either way.
Times are changing now. We gotta get with it.
Workshop suggestions.
Okay.
Great. No, because I have some. Okay. Does that conclude the board member comments?
Amen.
Amen.
Meeting is adjourned.